Yeah.
I thought you could just upload the stream after the fact, though. I don't
But I have
do
to
YouTube
I have to
recording.
record first. But now we are recording.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
I didn't even know that you guys were
thank you
recording.
for reminding me, Vinny. Um.
No problem.
Uh.
Oh, it's Mike in the chat. Mike.
Is that Mike LS in the chat?
Felix thinks that
Yeah.
I'm you, so
Okay. Do you guys want to start in a minute?
yeah.
Yeah.
Goes,
I'll
do you want
wait
to just
like
start now?
another 2 minutes, maybe.
I think we can start now. It's
Oh.
8:35.
True.
So
Okay.
We're already delaying it enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the season 5 power rankings. I'm Ben. I'm with Sub Zero and Vinny for
Vinny,
just
yeah.
Mow, right? You're just Mow.
That's Mo. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello,
And then we'll have some
Sub.
other guests going.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we even begin the PRs, we have to add a little disclaimer. So I want to congratulate everyone for finishing the draft. The emphasis that I want to put here is that the PRs are opinions. Feel free to share any thoughts that you have on the teams or say like we're wrong or I agree with you, etc. But do not take these seriously. It's not cool to take these so seriously that you get angry about them, etc. Do
Yeah.
not act aggressively or poorly, and keep in mind that according to Ben, that a lot of the I think 3 of the champions in the past have been last
2 or
seeds.
3. I don't remember.
It's 2. It's season 1
2.
and season 2 back to back. We're both 16th
Yeah.
in the power rankings.
I definitely remember me being 16th when I won, and I'm pretty sure Tsunami was as well. Yeah.
So basically, what matters is that you like your own team and it worked for you.
Yep.
We're just here rating them on our opinions.
Yes.
And our opinions are usually wrong.
We're here to roast you, and your job is to prove us wrong.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So now let's get into the PBA Season 5 Mo Division Power Rankings, hosted by Vinny.
Oh yeah, Vinny. So what we were thinking about doing is, I should have said this before we actually started, but me and Sub will kind of give our opinions first because we haven't actually seen any of the teams, and then you'll come in with the actual details.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
That's good with you? Okay.
Yes.
So, number 16th is Coach Pikachu. They have the team of, well, their first 5 picks are like Mandibuzz, Slowking, Komodo, Magdazone, and Spectre. So the first thing I see is that is a Gen 8 Mega Manetric, and I'm not too fond of that because Mega Manetric gets walled by a lot of stuff. There are a lot of things on this team that get walled by a lot of stuff. You have Comfey gets walled entirely by steals. You have Mega Manetric gets entirely walled by grounds. You have Spectre, which gets entirely walled by darks, etc. I like the little weather thing they were going with, but
yeah, he does have Sun. That's what I was saying, but it's not like Sun that he could really take advantage of. To take advantage of it, obviously Venusaur can sweep through teams. We've seen that, but also Charizard is kind of reduced to heavy duty boots.
Yeah, true. Fortunately, though, that is a regular Venusaur instead of a Mega. I've seen, like, in the past where people have drafted, like, Mega Venusaur with Torkoal, which I don't like at all because it can't even run, like, Life Orb, etc., and hit harder. So, fortunately, this one can run Life Orb, so it's a lot more
He also first picked Mandibuzz. That's questionable to me. I don't know what you guys' opinions on first picking Mandibuzz.
Yeah, no, that is a pretty questionable pick. They weren't, like, super early on in the draft. Like, they were like 11th or 12th pick, if I remember correctly. But yeah.
Would you like me to come in with why it was rated like this here? So I do agree with a lot of what they were saying, but basically, so I went by offense, defense, utility, synergy on this team. So offense, I started with the only immediate breaking presence on this team is Mamoswine. Manectric needs the ground types gone. Spectre needs the darks and the normals gone to do anything. The sun Pokemon need the sun set up. Como needs to set up. So these Pokemon don't have offensive presence. And I also noticed that this team's very, very specially offensive. The only real physical Pokemon is Mamoswine, because Como often wants to run special attacking, so I was very worried about that. And the pivot core on the defense is great, but there's nothing to take advantage of it on this team.
That's a very valid point, yeah.
So
that's also what I was thinking.
Yeah, because Mandibuzz, Slowking, Comfey is kind of gross pivot-wise. So that's where it translated into a decent defensive score. So the Mandibuzz, Slowking, Comfey, again, like I said, form that really nice recovery defensive pivot core that's going to give a hard time to breaking. the team's got pretty good resistances, but it's got a pretty big ground weakness, is what I noticed personally, with Charizard and Mandibuzz being the only answers, and Charizard I wouldn't really count as one. And then again, I said the defensive core functions good on its own, but not to the rest of the team, which translates the whole synergy aspect, where I just felt like it was a lot of stuff slapped together, a lot of cores. And speed tiers as well. I love my speed tiers, and this team just has big clumps. One at 130-ish, one at 100, one at 80. That's super exploitable.
Yeah, and one of the things I just noticed, sorry to cut you off, Minnie, is he has a Sun team, but then also Magnezone to trap steals when the Sun team already beats steals.
I mentioned that on my utility, that I was like, you have a lot of this like niche stuff like the Magnezone with Magnapult, but why do you have it on this team when your team, the steel type is one of the best types your team's against, is good into?
Yeah.
So I think for me that about sums that one up, and if you want to move on to the next one, I'm good.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. So 15th is Zookeeper, coach of the San Francisco Fortress Ninetales. And they were brave enough to actually get Deoxys speed. I know a lot of people tend to stray away from Deoxys because of the popular opinion that it's not very good. In my opinion, it's a difficult mon to use, and I think it's a bit underexplored, but it's not terrible, to say the least. This team looks very awkward looking at it. Like, for the main thing is, I feel not many of the mons have recovery itself, especially with walls and etc. And Gyarados is your bulky water too, which I would not entirely say is the best. Speed tiers don't look entirely bad. However, you go from like I think 100 to 81, so something like an Urshifu can run Adamant against you, and with your fairy being frail like Whimsicott, that can be a bit on the dangerous side. Oh wait, and then it also goes from like 80 to 60. Though 70 speed tier is like kind of hard, but yeah, it just looks
I
like a
kind of
pretty
agree with
awkward
you.
team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was looking at the water being Gyarados, and Whimsicott being the fairy. This
Oh
team
wait,
is
there's a
very
Gastrodon at the bottom. How did
frail.
I miss that?
Oh, you're wait, I missed that also.
Wait, there's a Gastrodon right there. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just feel like a lot of these mons that would really like to be offensive are forced to be defensive, and I feel like that just hinders a lot of their capabilities.
That's the exact point I was going to bring up. Yeah, because I was just looking at the team and looking at Salamence as a great example. It's almost forced to run defog like most of the time. I don't see another defogger, and that's like a big hindrance.
But that's it.
Yeah, Whimsicott. Yeah, it's forced to run defensive because you can't. If you run, you have two. He has a lot of offensive threats. He does not have a lot of. He can't take a lot of hits.
So I'll add on to a lot of what they said. So I definitely made the comment about Salamence as well. I felt like when you have Mega Aggron, you really want a Wish Passer with it, and Salamence is that Wish Passer. It's also one of the only defoggers on this team super Rock weak, Rock's weak, and not as much to the Rock type, but to the Rock itself. So I was like, the Salamence has to play defensive on this team, and that's what I saw as well. The Gyarados speed tier comment was good because it goes from 100 to Gyarados at 80, and then to 58 at Scrafty. So if you're not breaking Gyarados, you have a huge hole in the speed gap, which is super scary. And then offensively, I said again, it struggles because most of its breakers are physical. I don't see like any special breakers besides Deoxys. Maybe Electros, but that's not the most reliable. Only 2 momentum moves. Again, the whole awkward point. That's a lot of that comes from the fact that it doesn't have a lot of momentum. Basically that.
Well, Baton Pass is legal, right? Is that what you're counting on?
Baton Pass is, but again, no, it's Speed Pass, so Scolipede doesn't become a good one.
Yeah, if the Scolipede is gonna be your momentum user, I feel like you're not using it correctly.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And then I was defensively, I was just felt like this team is really reliant on boots, and because it's like it has good resistances to a lot of types, but the Pokemon are still weak to hazards. Like
Yeah, and I think who mentioned it? Someone mentioned about Deoxys speed and how it's like a popular opinion that's not very good. I have to agree. I mean, yeah, it's very frail. Like, sure, it's fast, but I mean, I don't know. To be like your main offensive threat, which it kind of has to be on this team, especially with a lot of mons being forced to be defensive.
And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Deoxys is supported very well on this team. I don't exactly know what Deoxys is doing on this team. Like,
yeah, I feel like on this team it's the cleaner. I mean, it can't really clean though because there's so many setup Pokemon, so it has to be the breaker or like the spike setter.
Yeah, and you already have another pretty decent cleaner in like Scolipede.
Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Is I felt like this team was kind of all over the place, a bit less than Pikachu's team, but it was just mediocre as well. So I think that about sums it up for me. You can move on to.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if you replace Deoxys with Lele, it becomes a much better team. But I don't know if.
I don't think Deoxys is the problem.
So one person mentioned, I believe it's Helix, that Deoxys is not that frail. That's actually true. It's deceptively.
It is true.
It's deceptively bulkier than people expect because it gets the luxury of putting a lot of its EVs into HP and defense, etc.
That's true.
The main issue is I just kind of don't see what it provides to this team.
Okay, probably time to move on.
We should move on. So
we finish on time.
14th is Thief Yi. Round 1 Corviknight. I understand that Corviknight is a really good mon, but I feel like they could have waited on Corviknight. Corviknight Mega Gardevoir is really good. I like that. How they got Zygarde so late is kind of crazy. What else? So if you look at the mons individually, Corv, Guard, Zygarde, Blacephalon, they all do decently together, but like Corviknight is really, really pressured. Corviknight and Seismitoad, that's a really good core, but they're very pressured to be the defensive backbone for a bunch of other like sweepers and breakers, being Gardevoir, Zygarde, and Blacephalon. And I feel like the team is going to crack under the pressure.
Yeah, and I have personal experience using Seismitoad as one of the only defensive mons, and it did not work out very well. So, yeah, having only two really defensive. I mean, I guess Zygarde can be defensive. They don't really want to run Zygarde defensive.
And another thing,
I don't hate this team, but yeah.
Other than Obstagoon, like the team doesn't have immediate physical offense. Like from what I'm seeing, like you have Mega Gardevoir and Blacephalon on the special side. They're very hard hitters, but I don't see anyone else on the physical side that like actually makes like a big impact. And
yeah, unless you're running like Choice Band Zygarde.
Yeah. Oh, also they have their speed tiers are kind of whack. Like you have 4 mons between 100 to 110, 3 mons that are 95, then you go to 75, and then you kind of just middle down.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I like the individual mons on the team, and I feel like DFE can still do well this season just because he has those individual mons. But yeah, as a team, like synergy-wise, not even synergy-wise, but just the bulk is not there.
Yeah,
I can step in now. So I do. You guys are very much mentioned what I mentioned because I think this team has such good pieces. Like these pieces are so good offensively and so good defensively, but together just a mess.
Yeah.
So. Offense, I mentioned the same thing where it doesn't have great immediate breaking options because even Obstagoon needs Flame Orb, and Zygarde, you don't really want to run Band a lot of the time. I liked the Hazard support on the offense, but it needs setup was my biggest issue.
Wait, you like the Hazard support?
The Hazards with the Spike and the Sticky Web.
Okay. I was
going to comment that Seismitoad's is only Rocker, which is...
I definitely mentioned that in there, but I thought the extra Hazards were pretty nice. Single Rocker doesn't cut it, though. And then I was looking at the big pieces in Synergy. I mentioned the speed tiers. You have 7 Pokemon from 108 to 95 speed. Like, my brain hurts. And then you guys mentioned Corviknight's super stressed. I said it has to carry this team. Offensively, It has to be the major pivot to bring all these Pokemon in. It has to cover the type holes in this defense team. Because this team is a huge weakness to ice. Blacephalon's will only resist. And flying is Corviknight's only flying resist, so Corviknight has to carry both of those almost.
Yeah. And I've had experience in the past where I have like Latios. Well, in the past, I've had Corviknight be my only pivot, and it really hinders its capabilities because a lot of it what makes it so good is also because it can be an offensive threat too with bulk up or iron defense, and it can't.
Yeah, when you're forced to run U-turn every time.
It's on this team. I feel like it's forced into one offensive move, you turn defoggers, because again, it's the only defogger on this team. So it's gonna ruin the greatness that is Corviknight as a Pokemon.
Yeah.
I have to say though, if you could get a Sticky Web up and kind of play off that, he can still do well. Yeah.
This team would be very scary.
I think this team has a lot going for it. It's just it needs a lot in place for it to do well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like JR boys, I don't know who that actually is like in the server.
Yep.
But he said webs aren't that great in Gen 8.
But yeah, webs aren't that great. Yeah, I agree.
Yikes.
All right, let's go on to 13th.
You got canceled by Ben.
Honestly, I said I don't really know who this guy is.
Yeah, sorry, I
know who he is now.
But 13th is Elfire, coach of the Rochester Razorbacks, and they have, from just what I'm looking at, the first 5 is like the standard Mega Mawile thing I see. Like when I think of Mega Mawile teams, I think of this kind of like top 5. Then Aerodactyl being there is nice. Hitmontop is the only remover other than Aerodactyl who doesn't run defog normally. Like if you're running, like I wouldn't run defog Aerodactyl all that often. Fortunately, they have more rockers than the other team. They have like 4 rockers from what I'm seeing, and a couple of them are reliable.
Yeah, he does have a good regen core in Slowbro and Tangrowth. The problem with both of those, though, is they're both really specially weak.
Yeah, that's true.
So a special attacker might kind of tear through them, and I don't really see any special walls.
If that was a slow king, that would have been a better...
Yeah, that was a slow king.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has threats, he has Aerodactyl, and he also has Parting Shot on Incineroar, so he has like Teleport, Parting Shot, Volt Switch. He's got Rocks. I'm not really sure what Ursaring does, but I'm sure it does something.
I think it's just a normal type.
Yeah, and he has some hard hitters in Middle King and Mawile. So
2 other
this team is solid.
I want to make is that... Oh, go ahead, Vinny.
I was going to say, so Helix is roasting this, saying this is 13. So I do agree that the top 5 Mons are actually just nutty, but the Mons around it are awful. That's why this team, again, it jumped from 12.5 to 13.5, and it definitely has a really good shot at being a good team. But I was looking at it, and there's a lot of weaknesses still. So if you want to finish your point, then I'll go on.
The speed tier is the first thing I noticed. It goes from Raikou
115 to 85.
Yeah.
What about Aerodactyl? Oh, yeah.
So bad. I said again, the synergy on the top half of the draft is just nuts, but the bottom half doesn't cover it.
Yeah, I don't know why Inteleon's there, in all honesty.
Another thing that I said as well is this team doesn't have a cleric. You don't have a cleric when you're running a double regen core that's so weak to Toxic, and Mawile is so weak to Will-O-Wisp. And then I looked at the defense, and I'm like, you're so exploitable by so many types. Fighting, Ghost, Ground Dragon, and Fairy, I think can all do well into this team, because Fighting, you only have Slowbro for, Ghost, you only have Incineroar, Ground's Tangrowth, Dragon's Mawile, and Fairy, both your Fairies in 3rd weekly round.
But you have Ursaring for Ghost as well. But
Ursaring's not a Pokemon. Ursaring's just not. And then, like they mentioned, this team is super physically defensive, but it doesn't have like much speed up at all.
Mm-hmm.
So special breakers just
pair the team.
Like AV Hitmontop is your special defensive mod.
Yeah, like how do you deal with like a Latios if it faces you? Like Spadef Incineroar is your best answer, and it's still gonna die to a Specs Draco or get 2 KO'd by one.
Like, yeah, I think swapping out Inteleon in free agency and getting a cleric that's especially defensive. I don't know actually what's available, but Fortis comes to mind, like the first one. But.
If you could drop Inteleon and Ursaring for so at least like one base 100 or and an Audino, I feel like Audino would really help this team.
Yeah, I feel like this team is so close to being one of the top teams, but it has way too big of flaws to be there. But it's still good enough to get a 13.5, which is not bad to score at all.
He definitely needs a cleric. If he can get a cleric, his team would be very screwed because suddenly you have the regen core that also can't get toxic. And
yeah. Mm-hmm. So probably time to move on.
That is true. 12 is Jolteade, coach of the Jinx Jolts. They have.
He was close. He said he was 13. But he was
actually... this is a very interesting team from what I'm seeing. I don't. Mega Slowbro Chestnut is a bit interesting considering. Well, okay, they have Muck and Togekiss, so they at least have some physical and special mods. They have one good rocker in Garchomp, which I personally. I mean, Lycanroc Dusk is a rocker too, but it doesn't want to run rocks all the time.
Does Lunatone run rocks?
Yeah, it can, but
but it's Lunatone is not really.
Yeah, I know you don't really want to bring Lunatone, but
Garchomp being the sole rocker is like anything but what Garchomp wants to do. It's so good because of its sheer variety and breaking power. And if you kind of take that away from like it constantly bringing rocks all the time, then I feel like that's just so bad with Garchomp. Garchomp
who's the
Agi
spiker?
is also cool. I believe there's a Heat coach who also has Garchomp Agi. I've never seen the core before, but it makes sense theoretically. But
Yeah,
Stop
I
calling
like
it
his I like
Iggy.
his Fairy Dragon
Agi
Steel
slash?
core.
How do you say it?
It's Aegislash.
Aegislash, sorry.
It is
Aegislash.
Aegislash. I just didn't want to say Chestnut is nice, right? Yeah, I like the mons individually, and I've used a lot of them. I like Garchomp Aegislash Togepi because it's a great Fairy Steel Dragon core, in my opinion. Covers a bunch of weaknesses. I also love Jolteon as a fast electric type. It's one of my favorites to use.
It's decent for
And then I also
defense.
just like Muck. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, so
Alright, I'll let Vinny go.
Yeah, Vinny, go
so
ahead.
the big point that so the strength of this team right off the bat is the Fairy Dragon Steel Core. It's got like perfect speeches together. It covers the resistances. It gets like a defogger, a breaker, a stealth rocker all in the first three. It's really good. And the spike setting with it, I felt like was quite nice. But offensively, I felt like this team has a hard time getting them into position because outside of that Garchomp Aegislash, really it's like what Volcanion and then maybe Lycanroc that provide offensive presence of this team. Everything else feels quite
Jolteon
passive.
can provide somewhat offensive presence.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He'd have to run like Specs or Life Orb or something.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like this team can definitely do a bit of offense, but it's much slower than the rest of the teams in this division because it's gonna have to play in a more bulky way. So I really liked the defense of this team. They have really good resists and they're really fat. But I looked at this team and I was like, it has a really big ground weakness, and with the right coverage, I mean, once Mega Slowbro is gone, ground moves just destroy this team.
Yeah, the ground.
Ice.
The ground
Sure, it's Mammoth coverage beats every team, but this team gets mauled once Slowbro is gone by a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Jolteon, you could watch the YouTube video.
I mentioned the hazard setting as well. There was 3 setters, but 2 don't really want to run them, and Lunatone doesn't want to come. Hazard control was mediocre, but then I was like 3 Wish Passers and Clerics, which is so really crazy on this team.
You should trade one of them for Inteleon, even though Inteleon doesn't really help this team that much.
But true. But yeah, the biggest comment that I had against this team was Mega Slowbro is your linchpin.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Also, Joel, you have to run at least 1 week of Chestnut with Toxic,
Belly
Spiky
Drum.
Shield, Protect.
No, Belly Drum.
He's got 2 Belly Drum users.
And also Belly
Slowbro
Drum.
and Chestnut.
Is Slowbro a Belly Drum user?
Yeah, Slowbro learns Belly Drum. Alright, we should probably move on.
Yes, we should.
Alright, so I'm gonna pick up the pace a bit here because we've been going a bit slow. But 11th is Anting. So the first thing I notice is this team is incredibly fire weak, and Gliscor is their only rocker. Gliscor does not want to be your only rocker. But I do like Coco Melm, in my opinion, because Melmetal really likes the bulky waters out of the way. Though at the same time, there are like Melmetal sets that like prefer rest. So unless you are really good at playing around your terrain, you're kind of hindered with those kind of sets. Yeah, that's the first things I see immediately.
Yeah, he has Dracovish Melmetal, which are kind of 2 mons that do the exact same thing. They kind of come in and click 1 move. He has Venusaur Mega, which I think is very good. It kind of covers his fire weakness a little bit with the thick fat. That and I guess Umbreon, but Umbreon's not going to take an attack from like a Blaziken or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really think of much to say about this team. Like, Coco Gliscor Melmetal is pretty good. Like, I think those 3 mons would be something I would pick as well.
I feel like Gliscor's a bit pressured here.
Yeah, he doesn't really have any special attackers outside of Coco either.
Oh,
unless you count Venusaur.
So I was saying that my point was to what you're saying. The offense is really linear. Melmetal, Dracovish, all just mostly want to click their main move, and that's about it. And then Cinderace as well. Those are all really walled by water types. They can shut down that most of that offense. And the offense doesn't have the best time pivoting into the Pokemon that beat that, which is Coco mostly. And I felt like, you know what, those ones can definitely shut down the waters that stop this offense and build a pretty cool offense, but it's not the most reliable option. Good thing was the bulk. This team is so hard to break. Gliscor, Melmetal, Umbreon, Mega Venusaur.
Yeah, that's rough.
Like, jeez. But I felt like the issue with the defense was they were really passive.
For sure.
And the weakness that I pointed out more so than you did was ground, because Gliscor Cryogonal sucks ass. Gliscor is the ground switching, and Gliscor is already pressured to be the only rocker on this team.
Yeah. Also,
which is
Melmetal is the only rock
terrifying.
resist too.
Yeah, I feel like a substitute against this team it'd be very difficult for him to deal with. You get a sub up on. I mean, he does have Melmetal to break it, so it has to be a very specific Mondo. If you get a sub up on like Venusaur even or Gliscor or Umbreon, I mean.
So, like you guys said, this team does have a few like defensive weaknesses, but I felt like the bulk's enough to outweigh that. The biggest issue that I had later on, because I felt like the offense, even though they all click the same moves, they all bait in water types and can pivot into the other Pokemon, so it's quite cohesive. The issue that I had was a lot of the negative synergy.
Yeah, especially if the other team has like a Gastrodon or something. I don't think. That's a very specific example.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Sorry,
a water absorb.
I was gonna say. The negative synergy that we saw is Venusaur and Meloetta, both are sleep options that are potentially more so Venusaur get cucked by Coco Train is something that I felt was kind of frustrating for them, or for me at least, looking at this team.
Yeah, terrains.
Probably time to move on.
Yeah, I think maybe. Do you want to share your thoughts first, and then have us join in after?
Sure, that's probably
let's
better.
Try that. All right, so
speed it up.
We have LS.
my love Mike. Mikey Mike. Okay, so Mike is 10th. So this team, I noticed immediately, I really like some of the offense here. We have the Diancie is just a massive breaker, and stuff like Landorus and Pangoro is really good, and the team pivots around them quite well too, with stuff like Vaporeon, Zapdos, like Landorus itself. So I felt that was a really solid offensive core to start with. My issue with the offense was more so you see all these 4x weaknesses: Diancie, Landorus, Toxicroak, Pangoro, all have 4x weaknesses, and these are the major setup threats on the team as well. So I felt like this team wouldn't be able to get itself in a position to where it can set up and clean, but it could get in a position to break. The defense had pretty good resistances, but had a really big ground weakness, like a lot of the teams do. I felt like the defensive pieces weren't the bulkiest as well. Vaporeon's physically weak. Klefki's just frail. Zapdos really relies on its typing. So I felt like his defense would get broken before his offense could get going. Best thing on this team, hazard settings, 3 setters with webs and spikes, 3 rock setters.
3 removers, which makes it instantly that much better.
Totally. PBA champion. 3 great removers and a magic bouncer, so it's got good hazards control. It's got multiple clerics and Klefki with prankster to cover the speed weakness, and spikes. So that brings us to the speed, which speed caps at 115 with Chinchino. Should have picked Ambipom. And then having your Mega as your second fastest, not the best.
Yeah, I agree with that last part with Diancie. Diancie being a 110 is great, but like it can't be scarfed or anything.
Yeah, exactly. You just run a scarfer.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I do like is Clefly sets screens, and Prankster screens I think is very good. And you said a lot of his bonds have 4x weaknesses, but hopefully with those screens he can negate it a little bit, and he can even run weakness policy if he wanted to.
Yeah, definitely. That's why he had good utility score on that, because I felt like the Klefki covered a lot of his weaknesses as long as it can get itself in.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. The top 4 mons I love. The others I can't say I've used much, but
Mega Dance is a very interesting mon. I love it. I love it. I know a lot of people are a bit hesitant on it, but it's like one of the only top tier breakers that can also clean really well. Like you don't see like and the main reason for that is because it can boost its speed and it can boost its special attack with Calm Mind, etc. But it can also it's just very diverse without needing to press so many buttons because it can run physical or special. So
yes,
it's just very good at a lot. It's very good at being like a surprise factor that like you just have to prep for it in so many ways, And although many people could say just hit it with the steel move, it's not as easy as that.
Yeah, especially when there's not many good
is,
steel
but
moves.
yeah.
Like there's flash cannon and
The
iron
big
Head,
one is bullet punch, as long as it doesn't get diamond sword
bullet punch.
boosts.
Yeah.
Whenever I've drafted
And then
like a
you just
Dancy
bring
in the past,
Vaporeon and
yeah. Whenever I've drafted Dancy in the past, I've usually paired it with what's it called? Like a flame body mod, like Talonflame or Heatran or something.
Moltres is a good one.
Yeah,
But
I paired it with both Moltres and Talonflame in the past, and it's
yeah,
been
those
really
are
nice.
both good.
can probably
Yeah,
move
and
on
also
to
yeah, I was just gonna say just prediction that the top 4 mons on this guy's team on LS's team is gonna come every week. I almost feel like they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so now let's move on. Ninth is I'm gonna pronounce this name wrong, and I'm very sorry. But Crush Chancha.
So before I get into Crush's team,
You just said the Dragon Dancers.
I could have said the Dragon Dancers. What's wrong with? Yeah.
I always rate defensive teams quite lowly, and this was one of the first ones that I felt was actually executed upon quite nicely. Like in past seasons, I put defensive teams like in 16th out of 16 because I just hate when people draft like pure bulk. This team I felt is actually a lot better than its ranking, but I don't think it will excel until it actually plays. It's not as good on paper as there. But biggest pro is the team's defense. It's going to be super hard to break because it has really good type resistances with its cores. Obnoxiously bulky Pokemon. Speaking of ridiculous fancy, gross. Tapu Bulu's residual recovery on this team is amazing, and Chansey can keep the other Pokemon healthy with Wish. I like it.
I'm surprised you put this 9th, honestly. I think it should be higher.
I'm known for not liking defensive teams because one of my biggest hates on teams is when they're passive, and I think this team is pretty passive. Chansey's known for being passive, sure, like teleport, but you can do anything you want. It's teleport turn. Suicune's pretty passive. Registeel can be passive if you're not the right set. But basically, I'm saying is this team's pretty passive. Offensive breakers, you do have a few good ones, and you can pivot into them nice, which I think could give this team a bit of an offense, but overall, not the strongest cohesive offense.
Is Talonflame
I do have to say that Cortana and Urshifu.
Sorry?
Is Talonflame the only
Cortana, but those are garbage defuggers.
Yeah.
And I was like, look at all the defensive pieces. They're all grounded, so this team gets spike stacked.
Yeah.
I was a really big fan. Heavy duty boots on like Sweet.
Yeah. I was a really big fan of how they got the toxic spiker though on Nukequeen for this team because it's so fat. And it has good clerics and status users, which is really important. So I think this team executed well in the defensive playstyle. It's just me not liking a defensive team because I think that it's really exploitable.
As someone who had Urshifu with a very defensive team, it can be a bit weird because it changes the pace very quickly between just offensively attacking and then you're on the back foot and you have to kind of like wait it out with defense. So that's something I think they should probably watch out for. Like me personally, I prefer more offensive teams with Urshifu, simply just to like keep constantly putting pressure over and over and over. But I think this does work. I think they might struggle a bit with like substitute because you can get a lot of subs on things like Registeel, Chansey, unless the Suicune's running Roar. But yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I think he has 2 of the best breakers in all of draft. Urshifu I think might be the best mon in draft period right now, and Cortana with terrain is extremely scary. So I feel like his defensive can be overlooked by people who prep, and me saying that will probably make sure that that doesn't happen. But few teams might try to prep so hard for this Urshifu and this Cortana, and then they'll end up being walled by Suicune or being walled by like Tapu Bulu even, and then they get kind of screwed from there. But I like the breakers on this team, but it is very passive, like you said.
Okay, so I guess it's time to move on into the top 8. So 8th is Kendra, coach of the Sea Lovers.
This team barely crested in the top 8. On first glance, it looks disgustingly powerful, but when you look closer, it's got a lot of weaknesses. I looked at this offense, and I'm like, how does this break steel types? Every single Pokemon and their stabs that just don't touch steel types besides Palossand, which I guess Kendra did show in the game today. Palossand actually like solo beat Zookeeper's team offensively, and it broke down the team, which kind of proved that wrong. But again, I still think outside of Palisade, it really does struggle to hit these steel types.
Who was Zeus steel type?
Mega Aggron.
Oh, okay.
And
Mega, but again, he has no Wish Passer, right? So you could just wear that down.
Yeah, Mega Aggron would hardwall this team. But yeah, I can see this team relying on setup as something I mentioned because there's not a lot of immediate breaking besides maybe Kieran, but Kieran wants boots and same with Torn. So I felt like that was a struggle. I just like how it wasn't really passive team. There's not passive pieces on it. So team-wise, defensively, I felt the natural bulk and sustainability from Regenerator and the recovery moves like Jungle Healing and Clef stuff is really nice, but the resistances on this team are really bad. Fione's the only fire resist. Like, I get it's your mascot and all, but it's a Fione. Ice, ground, and flying.
They only had 1 point left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't blame them.
Ice, ground, flying, and ghost are not really handled well by this team, particularly. I do think that on the Spladev side, this team can handle it, but on the FizzDev side, I see this team struggling. And Empoleon's gonna have a lot of pressure put on it. Utility on this team was overall solid, and I liked the knock and taunt stuff spam on this team. I felt like the pivoting on this team was a big pro of it, but the big con I noticed at the end was 95 to 60 speed gap because I don't count Fione.
Can Fione learn Tail Glow or no?
Tail Glow is cut from the game.
Oh.
Even if it could, I don't think it can. But yeah, at the final note I put on this team is I think this team in the war of attrition style battles where you're playing to just survive and outstall your opponents, this team will do that very well. And I think this team is still very scary despite its flaws.
Yeah, I mean it's an OU team. You got Clef, Kyurem, Slowking, Zero, and Tornado. That's an OU team right there.
Also, somehow they got round 6 Clefable.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the Mow division. We got like a round 6 Clefable and like a round 8 Zygarde.
Yeah. Alright, so let's keep this moving. 7th is D-Bay. Gallade Celesteela is... I've normally seen Gallade with like steel flyings like Corviknight. Corviknight's the main one. So Steela being really is nice to break what's it called? Break fairies. I'm a big fan of Gallade Greninja. I think it's really nice.
I am too.
Rotom Wash Celesteela is also something I've seen. And then Weezing Galar Blissey is I wanted that myself in Heat. I unfortunately could not get it, but those two are pretty good together defensively.
And that's a scary defensive core. Even adding Donphan can tank some.
Yeah, this team I felt like, again, like you guys are mentioning, is very good. The top four specifically is what caught my eye. But I noticed later on that it has pretty hard time specially breaking. It's really just Greninja because Rotom Heat doesn't on this team wants to be more defensive. Physical side, it's terrifying, and there's really good pivots to bring it in, like to bring in Gallade in, to bring in Delmise in. Even Donphan was used offensively versus me in an exhibition game. It was really good. Offense is pretty linear still, I felt, even though there's a lot of niche pieces that can be offensive.
Yeah.
Unless you want to run Combine Blissey.
Or you want to run like Celesteela or Rotom Heat offensively.
Yeah. The other thing I
that's right.
What is Staraptor doing here?
Yeah, I'll mention that later. But yeah, no bulky water was the next thing I brought up.
Thinking the same thing.
You have 1 water and ice resistance against Greninja, and Greninja's your water, which is not the best. Otherwise, great resistance to the bulk. Team has a lot of natural bulk. The reason why it was so high was because it's utility. It has perfect rocking, T-Spikers, Spikers, removal's insane. Insane recovery as well. I just feel like this team, utility-wise, covered everything you could ever want. And that's why it rated a bit higher than maybe people think it would be. Synergy-wise, it was a bit lower. I noticed that Regirock and Staraptor didn't fit on this team, I felt like. They didn't provide a lot, but the top 8 I just feel like is so cohesive.
Yeah.
Mostly defensively, though, not as much offensively.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. Yeah.
Though
you definitely maybe should have swapped out Staraptor for a special attacker. So like Staraptor
I'd agree with that.
Same as...
If like that was a Swellow or something. Nah, actually, you want the base 100 speed tier. I don't know any decent...
I definitely can see what you guys are saying. I think this team probably could have went around where Karash's team and Karash's team could have moved up, but overall it's not too big of a difference.
Yeah. I think a lot of their games are basically gonna be just like using Weezing and Blissey to pivot around until you get the one opportunity with the Gallade Celesteela set up and just go in.
Yeah, for sure. It seems nuts.
Yeah, I think
it's safe
JR
for
Boys has, or Junior Boys kind of has.
I
Oh,
mean,
never mind.
Blissey is very fat. It's not a problem at all. We can.
This team loses hard to taunt.
Somewhat, not really. Though.
Somewhat.
I think this team.
What's his taunt? Great Ninja.
I think this team is pretty good.
All right. Yeah. Let's move on. 6th is True
So,
Kyoto. The Dragapult team is here.
did not get first. Okay. So the offense of this team is just
Dragon Ball
nuts.
Lele.
So yeah, like I said, there's really good mixed breakers and like Dragapult and Fernape Lele, so strong. Spike's support from Ferrothorn's nuts in this offense. I just felt like I would have liked to see more pivots besides a Clefairy. But their Fairy Dragon Steel and Firewater Grass offensively is just nuts. My biggest issue is with the defense in this team. So your Ghost Resist on a Dragapult Lele team are Tauros, which is an offensive normal, and Mega Gyarados, who isn't a resistant until becoming a Mega. You have one flying resistant Rotom. And the cores that I mentioned on the offense, the Fire, Water, Grass, Fairy Dragon, Steel, they're good offensively, but not as good defensively. And the team's recovery is also weak. So like there's a lot of holes defensively on this team.
Yeah.
I think the
I
other
love
key
the hazard.
defensively too is that neither of them will have recovery.
I mentioned it, yeah.
Oh, you did? Then I just didn't hear it.
Yeah,
So if you
it's
can
fine.
like chip down their defense a little bit, their offense is gonna have trouble keeping up.
Yeah, their recovery is Infernape with Slack Off, Clefairy with Wish and Soft Boiled, and Rotom Frost. That's very little recovery. Utility,
Also, I
they
don't
got
see
a pass.
Tauros and Muck ever coming.
They got Tauros and a Kill Leader in another league, but
Oh, did they? Oh, never mind.
yeah.
Infernape
But
does
yeah,
get slack off.
They had 4 Rock Setters, some Spike Setters. Defoggers were only 2 of them, which I felt like wasn't enough for a Gyarados team because Gyarados is really weak to rocks when it's Mega, especially. But the Dragapult screens, Ferrothorn, Leechy, Tapu Lele with Madness, all really good options with this team. My biggest issue in the end was that their 80 to 50 speed gap. So a lot of slower Pokemon get around a lot of bulk versus this team. But overall, very scary offensive team.
I will mention this too, that I did help them a bit with a couple of transactions. Initially they had something else instead of Rotom and Torn. They had like only one Defogger. So I'm just gonna mention this, that I like this new composition a lot more. And then they also had a Clefairy because I thought that without Clefairy, like they didn't have like a decent Dark Resist at all. So I like the
Rotom
changes.
Frost is very underrated. In my opinion.
I wanted to try it out at some point. Okay.
Whenever you guys are ready, we can cross into the top 5.
Yes, let's
Yeah,
get to the top
the Pull,
5.
Lele, Ferrothorn, Gyarados, Infernape, that top 5, ridiculous. Right,
Yeah.
Top 5.
Alright.
Speaking of
Fifth,
top 5.
he's in the chat right now. So, 5th is JR Boys.
Boys. It's
Latios Fini is I don't entirely know how to feel about it, unless hopefully you're really good at playing around your terrain. But also
negative synergy.
Fini Conk is also a bit questionable too.
Negative synergy. Yeah. I mentioned that both. Yeah, good catch. So this team, it's really its strong point was the utility. Like, a bunch of teams have really good utility. It has 4 setters, access to spikes, and I think spikes is really good on this team. Removal, there's 7 removers for a Mega Beedrill. Well, one of them is the Mega Beedrill, but 7 removers. And some of them are spin too.
Rachi, Finny, Latios,
Serena,
Articuno.
No, Jirachi doesn't get removal.
Yeah. Really? Did they change it?
No, it never got it. So it's Latios.
I always thought it had defog.
No, it's Latios.
Conkeldurr is the one you guys are probably forgetting.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you mentioned Conk.
I don't know, but then the utility as well. I felt like the abilities in this team were really cool. Protean, Queenly Majesty, Terrain are all really cool, like utility abilities. And then this team can pivot so well, can knock off so well. It's just so good utility wise. My biggest issue, the offense, I felt like it was really physical. Besides Latios, and Latios is neutered by Fini. I felt really quite conflicted on what it wanted to do because it has like Conkeldurr and then that which is bulky, and then Mega Beedrill, which is super fast.
Yeah.
But this team's defense is not like it's very fat. It doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. It doesn't have many resist to steel, which is kind of uncommon, but I don't think it's too big of an issue. And it's got really good recovery, probably the best in the league, with a really good wish passing. Into synergy, speed tier is great.
Mm-hmm.
and it gives them plenty of options. My biggest issue, like we mentioned many times, is Beanie, Neuters, Latios, and Kunkelder. And it's just such negative synergy with the terrain.
So one
when Feeny is
question
such a major piece.
I want to ask you that I believe Skirsh is asking in the chat as well
Mhm.
is why did you put this above Kyoto's team?
Sub-Zero had to make sure we got in that we didn't actually do these rankings and that it was all Finny.
Oh,
Okay, so So Truex team actually just ranked slightly lower in the scores, but I think overall the reason why JR Boy's team as well, I think may have gotten a bit skewed by the fact that he played and he won. But I think Truex team is only really good offensively. Is the biggest issue I had. This team I felt like was more well-rounded.
That makes sense. Okay. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to find weaknesses, and the biggest weakness I see is the negative synergy with the terrain. But honestly, he could route what's the other ability? Telepathy, if you wanted. So,
telepathy.
For sure.
Telepathy. Yeah.
Telepathy.
It does weaken the Pokemon, but still, it's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to the next one. 4th goes to Ander. I really like this team. I'll let you talk about it, Vinny. But
I love this team too. I wanted to put this team number one.
This team I think this team was my number one.
This team, when I first went to it, I was like, "This is my number one team." It's so freaking good, man. Like the offense on this team, holy crap! You have two of the best pivots in the game, the 4x weak pivots that are really good together, and then you have all these different breakers. You have a Keldeo, a Chandelure, an Aerodactyl, a Toxtricity, so many immediate breakers, so many cleaners, so many revenge killers. And then you have a Mew too. Like it's just so nuts. But then I looked at the defense and I was like, your 4x weakness pivot core is nice, same with Aromatisse. But like I looked at him like you're really weak to Ghost because you don't have a normal type. You're very chipped down by Rocks because you have 3 Rocks weaknesses and one of them can't run boots.
Isn't Moltres like pretty bulky?
Moltres is decently bulky, but it's the only Ghost answer.
Yeah.
And we did see this in week 1 where 4x weak Pokemon are really exploitable when Ander lost his Scissor to a Togekiss flamethrower. There. Utility was another weak score on this team. Hazard setting wise, fine, 3 rockers. Only 2 removal options of Mega Arrow I really don't like. Mega Arrow is going to get chipped so easily. And then your only knockoff user is Scizor.
Wait, no, there's 3. Mega Arrow, Scizor, and Mew.
I don't like counting Mew or Mega Arrow because you don't want Mega Arrow to remove for itself.
Okay,
and then Mew, if you're forcing Mew to be a defogger.
Yeah, I missed what you said before.
While Mew is a good defogger, the reason it's 19 points is because you don't know what it's going to do. You take that away from it, and it's not nearly as good.
And Mew, because Mew provides a lot of that intangible stuff. But yeah, I felt like this team worked super well together offensively, and it will excel if it's played right. I think the team is by far the highest skill ceiling in the league, and I think it has the room to be the best team, and that's why I like it the most. But
and
right,
it really has his work cut out for him with this team.
But on paper, it is not the best team, but it's fucking insane.
Yeah, I was saying before, maybe it was before we started or when we just started, but he has 6 Mons on his team that can instantly win the game. So that's pretty impressive.
Wait, which 6?
Like you got Scizor, Keldeo, Chandelure, Aerodactyl, Toxtricity, and Moltres.
You didn't even mention Mew.
You didn't mention the Mew.
And Mew, yeah, Mew. Not even. I mean, no, I thought I said Mew, Scizor, Keldeo, Chandelure, Aerodactyl, and Toxtricity.
That's you said Moltres.
No, that's 6. Can I not count?
Mew, Scizor, Keldeo, Chandelure, Aerodactyl, Moltres, Toxtricity. That's 7.
Take out the Moltres. Moltres can still end the game too, but like
I leaked, but okay.
Okay, it's fine. We can move forward if we want, but we won't stop gushing about Andrew's team. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like I said, this team has the room to be the best, but on paper, it's not the best, unfortunately.
I mean, it's also like it reminds me of Jesse's team with Toxtricity and Chandelure from a few seasons ago, where he would set up with one of them and then win instantly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we should probably move on into the top 3. Well, I already kind of leaked it, but 3rd is Lin.
Lin. Okay, so Lin, I feel like
had a good team. Like last season, Lin had a great team. I'll let you get into it in a second, but yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead.
That was.
I was gonna mention. I was gonna mention Lin always has good drafting. This team is no exception. The offensive pivot core, Landorus, Lopunny, and Rotom Wash. Holy shit. That gives me PTSD because I got 6-0'd by it before, but it's just really good. The hazard setting from the spikes and the reliable rockers really good to help this offense because it's like a chip style offense. But outside of that, I don't see the offense being too amazing. But overall, I think that offense that it has is enough. Defense doesn't have many glaring weaknesses. Double steals with a Sylveon and Rotom Wash is really hard to break. But I looked at the type that I thought could break this team is fighting types and even ghost types as well because your darker. Fighting is when Sylveon is gone, you're screwed. And then Ghost, Skuntank's not the most reliable, and nor is Lop. Utility, very good. 2 reliable rockers, and there's potentially a 3rd even, and it's got spikers. 5 removers. Really good recovery and cleric. And I felt like its item removal was kind of cool, with Superior being a really niche item remover, but it's awesome. Same with Skuntank. My biggest synergy gripe was the fact that you're running Landorus loves running Gravity to be Pokemon like Corviknight or Celesteela, both which were drafted. And look at your own team under a Gravity. Your only ground resist is Serp because you have 4 ground immunities. So you can't really run Gravity.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Another thing I kind of wanted to mention was I don't entirely know how I feel about Skarm on this team because you have this very offensive team, and then you have Skarmy, which is like the definition of momentum killer.
I personally think that Skarmory is fine, specifically because it gets spikes. If he plays well around the fact that it's a spike setter, I think this team will do well. If he tries to use it to slow down the momentum, it's going to do poorly. But I think as a spike setter, it's good on this team.
Yeah. Imagine instead of Skarmory, you had Corviknight. I know that was not like possible based on the points, but jeez.
Have the pivot core would have been fucking gross.
Kyoto, Lando I is not a good fighting resist.
Lando I cannot switch into stuff. It cannot.
Yeah. Like you can play it bulky, but then you kind of lose its pain.
But then you're losing your biggest breaker on this team, and it's one of your only like really big breaking pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Vinny, with what you said with the Volt turn combo with the Rotom Wash and Lopunny, you're like turning into Lando I and Haxorus. Like
Lando I
can't get much more breakers than that. Yeah.
I think this team on paper is one of the best. I don't know how well it will function in actual game, but on paper this team is like close to perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And even if he wants to run Spec Sylveon, I know Joel was saying that as a meme, but like
I ran that before. It's
Sylveon does damage.
Yeah.
It's just on this team, Sylveon's really forced into being the Wish Passer and the fighting switch in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and he also has Superior, who he could Volt turn into.
Yeah, true. Serp is really good at weakening down teams or cleaning.
Yeah, and it really helps that Serp is not a big fan of like steals and etc. And he is probably one of the best steal breakers in the game.
Yep.
2 of them, honestly, mostly Landorus, but Lopunny's not bad either.
Oh,
we can move on to the next.
And Haxorus, he had Earthquake, and Haxorus just hits like a truck anyway. So.
Yeah. All right. So second goes to Shandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't get number 1. Oh, so that wasn't the updated picture. So the updated picture, for reference, the first 6 stay the same. Noivern becomes a Rhyperior, Pikachu becomes a Rotom Fan, and Charjabug becomes a Carnivine. So I'm still a fan of the original team, but this one I went off the new one he made. Mm-hmm. So offense 5 out of 5. Like look at the first 6. You don't have a switch into all of these, and it's not even like the fact that it's just a bunch of random offensive threats thrown together. They worked well together too, because you have Rillaboom U-turns on a Steel type, brings in your Medicham, like stuff like that. The Grassy Terrain, again, another really great Grassy Terrain team where it gives the offense some residual. So we see a good Grassy Terrain offense.
With Grassy Terrain, amazing.
Yeah,
Nature Power.
Oh, sure, Nature Power, underrated option. But yeah, basically, Grassy Terrain offense, and then we saw Grassy Terrain defense earlier. Both of them did a really great job. This team can pivot into the breakers pretty well. Defensively, not the best because it's an offensive team, but even for an offensive team, it's really good defensively.
Yeah, I mean, you have Miltank, Primarina. That's a pretty good defensive.
Yeah, Primarina can serve as the flip turn pivot and be Fizdef here. The big bond on the defense is Miltank, and Miltank's only got 1 weakness, which is covered great on this team. Yeah. Utility's got good rockers, only 2 removals, but I don't think this team really needs to stop to slow down to do that because it's so offensive.
Not at all.
Yeah. Speed tiers are good too.
Yeah. The only gripe I can think of like immediately is I don't think Charge Bug is necessary here. This team doesn't.
He didn't
Charter
drop
Bug
it.
got cut.
Oh, it got
It
cut.
got
Then
cut.
never mind. Never mind then.
Yeah, my biggest gripe was I felt like this team could have had more pivots, and also he did leave 1 point left over when he had an extra slot.
Oh, okay. I guess Snom wasn't good enough for him. Okay, so.
Oh yeah, he has 3 points. He could just pick another one.
Yeah,
after his transactions, he has 1.
He can still pick someone.
True.
All right.
Does everyone know who the number 1 was? Oh. So
Simple
I will say with this number.
Simple.
I mean, I do know who it is.
Number 1.
This number 1, I was not expecting when I looked at the team originally that it would become number 1. Like, it does not look like a number 1 team. But then when I dove into it, I was like,
then Vinny
holy.
simped.
True. I was looking into this, and I was like, this team is so good. There's terrifying breakers. You have the Diggersby, the Terrakion, the Hydreigon, both sides. The supporter on the offense is really what makes it good, though. They have every single hazard available. They have T-Spikes, Spikes, and Sticky Webs, as well as 2 Rockers to support this offense, which is really scary. And they have 7 U-turn users, so this offense flows so well together, and they have the breakers to utilize this momentum. Awesome.
Who are the breakers? Terrakion and Hydreigon?
Terrakion can break, Hydreigon can break, even Moltres, Diggersby not a bad breaker.
Yeah.
Moltres, I wouldn't classify Moltres as a breaker.
It can
But
be.
I'm just saying, they have a lot of options.
It has basic 125 attack, special attack.
Pretty good.
I think.
Then we got into the defense. The defense was the weakest point of this team for me. It only has 2 ice resist and 4 weaknesses.
Resist.
I mentioned that as well, yeah. Scizor is really required to be that ice resist, so Scizor needs to stay healthy on this team, otherwise it's going to fall apart.
The thing is with Scizor, though, is, at least in my experience using it, and I've used it a lot, it's very good at staying healthy. Just because it has so many resistances, and it can just burst off damage.
And this team has really good answers to the fire types. It has 4 resist, so it covers Scizor well. The biggest issue, in my opinion, was the flying. The only 1 flying resist. Removal as well. So I mentioned the really good hazard setting. The weakest hazard part of the hazard setting is they have 2 Rockers, but they have every other hazard with that. Removal, 5 Defoggers, and a Spinner if they want to keep their own hazards up.
Yeah.
I was actually happy they didn't take a Wish Passer on this team, because this team should stay offensive. But they did pick up a Cleric, which I think is really important, and I really liked that. They have really good utility with knockoff stuff, taunt stuff, prankster stuff.
Yeah, this team doesn't really need a Wish Passer either. They have 3 mons with Roost.
I'm just kind of really praying that Michelle doesn't fight Mega Aerodactyl.
Yeah, Mega Aerodactyl 6-0s.
Last thing I was going to mention is the speechers were solid. They weren't perfect, but they were good enough, and I felt like webs helped with that too, plus like prankster shenanigans. And one thing I always loved is this is a very hazard-based team in my opinion, and they have a ghost type to spin block, plus Thunderous Eye is defiant. So they can screw with other people trying to remove their hazards with default. So I felt like it was really
can Thunderous Eye run physical?
Yeah, it has Thunder Punch, Super Power. It has bulk up.
It has like
acrobatics.
It's based like 150.
Michelle does play Mega Aero. So.
I mean, I definitely think that I personally really like this team. I don't know if this team is number 1, but I think it is number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put it number 1, but I honestly don't remember the other teams enough to say with confidence a team that I would put over.
This team I was not expecting it to be as high as it was, and it just impressed me so much when I looked at it under close microscope, and I felt like it was probably the most cohesive team I saw entirely, to where it flows from offense to defense, and it has a really defined play style that I think is going to be so scary.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but again, I want to mention, do you want me to give my final notes?
Sure.
Yeah, final notes.
So I know a lot of people like JR's point where there's a lot of good teams towards the top, and this was really hard to rate. I felt like every team in this division was pretty good besides the bottom 3. I'm sorry, guys. I felt like even Elfire's and Jolteon's team had a lot going for them, and that's why I made it really hard. So if you got rated in the top 13, I think your teams are all pretty good. The bottom 3, that's all right. You just have to make some small changes to make your team better, but overall, just you guys all have pretty good teams.
Yeah, and this is going well towards my Michelle being the Mow champion predictions.
True. That took an hour, so I'm gonna leave.
All right, so do you want to take a 5-minute break before we do Heat?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back for the Heat one. So stick around, and we'll ping the Heat division one. Start. So.
I might stick around for like 1 or 2 minutes if chat wants to talk.
Okay, I'm gonna head out and get some water. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
All right, see ya. Hello, chat. I know I said I'd only do one stream, but I'm back for a second stream. Yeah, it is time for Heat Gang.
Hello.
Oh, welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Well, there's a player commonly known as Serb. I'm just a moderator in PBA. That's like a Heat division.
Oh,
Also a player.
all right, so we'll be starting soon. Just like 1 or 2 minutes.
For these ones, just so we're not on till midnight. Sir, give like a couple minutes or whatever you're feeling, and then sub if you and Ben want to just give your thoughts for a minute or two after. Then
Yeah.
Sir can give closing thoughts, and you guys can move on.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the plan. That moved by that was better when we did it with Mow. So I think we will be sticking to that. So we'll be starting in about like another minute. We'll let all the Heat coaches gather in. I have to also ban someone in the chat real quick. So give me 1 second. There's a dusk pup in the chat that I need to ban.
Okay.
Oh no, that's Helix. Sorry, you weren't there for the joke. All right. I guess we can start. If everyone's ready.
I have the presentation ready. I just don't know how to present it.
Oh, can you open the stream? The
What
stream I
stream?
have. It's linked in announcements. So
I'm back.
we'll be going in it like one at a time. So like you can just like read your points off of the presentation you wrote, and I'll just have them here. And then when we're done, you can send your presentation in announcements so everyone in the Heat division can read it. Does that make sense?
Opening up. So Twitch opening up. What should I say now?
So, are you on my stream?
It's loading.
Okay, no problem. Take your time.
Am I still loud, Arcadia?
All right, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. So you can kind of like follow along with this, though you already know the rankings.
Yes.
But yeah, and then after that, you can send your presentation to everyone in Heat.
Fine by me then.
All right. Cool. So let's get under it. So 16th goes to the Murder Queen Magirnas, which I believe is Ice. So if you wanted to share your thoughts about Ice's team.
Yeah, I love the Ox's speed with a passion, but I don't know what the hell's going on with this team. There's a Dracos without sand. Two evolution, which just doesn't kind of make sense. Mega Hera is like the only actually offensive mon in here. Like the only one that you probably run to most games. Salazzle can be offensive, but just mainly subtoxic. Dracozold without sand, I just don't see it. Nothing mixes well together for me unless I'm missing something.
No, I don't
It
think
has
you're
this
missing anything.
It has the speed and typing, which is nice, but this is just a weird mix of Pokemon.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I can't say anything about this team because I played it this week, and I know if I say something bad, I'm gonna lose.
I will say one thing, that it is probably one of the first teams I've seen that's fairy weak. I don't see many teams that are fairy weak. If Empoleon and Salazzle are your switch-ins, I don't think that's the best.
I mean, it's an opponent with two Wish Passers. I think you can deal with fairies.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, he has Dracozolt with no sand, which
Yeah.
you can do it, but I mean I don't think it's as good.
It's
But
like
like I said, he's probably gonna bring in 6 of me. So
it's like taking like one of the biggest weapons from its artillery. Like it prides itself in its speed, and it doesn't have the drawback of most speedy mons, which is their power. It's gonna hit you really hard, so you should give it that speed. So
yeah, I guess if you really wanted, you could run Sandstorm Gliscor, but
yeah, he also took my
Gliscor gets
Gliscor.
Sandstorm.
He took my Gliscor, and I'm very upset.
And that's why this is number 16. You took someone's Gliscor.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to 15. 15 is the Aloha Alolachu, who's coached by a fat rat.
Spoilers, I made this. I basically speedran the power rankings before this guy made. Sorry if I not remember the name, but before he made the Great Spirit transactions, and this was actually last. So with transactions, we moved up 1 point. But the big issue with this team is that the Fairy Resist is a Talonflame and a Toxicity, and the hazard removal is just Talonflame. That's the main issue. But the offense is there, it has good bulk. So I don't think it's quite the last. But it's very weak to hazards and fairies.
Yeah. The other thing too is I personally hate Cobalion with a passion. I hate Cobalion as a steel type. It's such a garbage mon. It never does anything.
You take that back. It's a PBA champion.
It's a garbage steel type.
Was it your only steel type?
Fighting type.
I don't remember.
Okay, I'm going to assume it wasn't your only steel type. But yeah, like with a fighting steel like that, you lose the psychic resist and you lose the flying resist of the steel
and
type.
The fairy resist.
And the fairy resist. And it really doesn't help when your psychic answer is Weavile and your flying answer is Toxtricity.
Can Druddigon count as a flying answer if he's running like defensive Rocky Helmet?
I feel like this team is gonna have to run Spike's offense every single week with like Scar Spectre.
I
want to point out, chat saying that their only Ghost Switch is Weavile, so
yeah,
and that's true.
I saw
team
that.
Gets destroyed by Ghost types.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you guys have anything else to say about this team?
Nah, I don't have anything else.
I don't have much else.
You can prove third point. Ghost Type's also reckless.
Yeah, please don't get swept by Spectre.
Yeah, also Tangela and Suicunes is right now set up fodder.
Yeah, but Mega Gardevoir, Spectre, or Weavile is pretty freaking scary. I don't know who you. It is very scary.
That's one thing this team got right: the offense.
Yeah, the offense. Even Cobalion can be pretty good offensively, but like you said, it's the only Steel type. It's not. Yeah, it's not good enough to be the only Steel type.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
But I'm a little higher on Cobalion than you guys are.
Yeah. I think it's garbage. I will stand by that until it gets 6-0s for 5 weeks in a row. Yeah.
I did 6-0 one of the games with Cobalion. So.
Oh. All right then. I guess you have to prove me wrong. At this point.
Well, Fat Rat has to prove you wrong. So.
Oh, Fat Rat does, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to 14th. Oh, there's actually a game going on, but we'll talk about that one later. So 14th is Charlotte Beedrills, which this is Bayonet Bandit. Yeah.
So at first glance, pretty good Pokemon in this team. Perfect typings, good synergy, good speed tiers, kinda. Big gap between Sneasel and Regieleki, but whatever. That's not a whole lot you can fit in there. But my big issue, and this is why it's like number 14th, there's only one rocker. That's it. No webs, no spikes, no T-spikes, nothing. It's just Mega Chomp. That's literally it. And hazard removal's not that great either. You have Sovali, which is good, Regieleki, which niche, and Rotom, which I don't know that one. But the monster's pretty good, so I can see this team doing well, but hazards wise, it's just pretty not good.
Yeah. His mons are absolute fire, in my opinion. But like you said, yeah, it's not. They don't suit as well, but like he has a lot of room for heat.
The top 3 is terrifying. I don't exactly understand Darmanitan here, but the top 3 is terrifying.
I would say the top 5 are terrifying.
Oh
yeah, Quick Claw, Slowbro, incredible.
Well, more of its niche now is regen, because all it has to do is like it can just do so much. It can be AV and sit there. It can just run Nasty Plot. It can run berries, etc.
I ran Choice Band on Slowbro Galar, and it's good.
You cannot sleep on Slowbro Galar. You just can't. Obviously, the King is better, but Slowbro Galar is not to be slept on.
Yeah, and with every Regieleki team, as soon as you get rid of the ground types, Regieleki wins. So
yeah,
that's definitely something that he has.
To be fair, I guess this team can deal with ground types. Celesteela is basically a wall to most of them. Primarina can nuke them, and Berisium's not bad, and same with Sneasel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even Darmanitan Flare Blitz. Like, Choice Band Darmanitan does a lot even when it's resisted.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Okay, let's go on to 13th. 13th is Killy. He was a former he was a guest for the coach reveals. Coach of the Dark Dragonites. So personally, before I let Serp get into his opinion, it looks a bit unorthodox of a team, but I actually do really like this team. It outside of like Double Lunatone, they're kind of just there, but everything else, like, it actually looks kind of nice, and I could see it like working well together.
I can see that too, but I just have issues with a lot of stuff here.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Serp, how do you have a Zygarde Clefable team at 13?
I just don't like Copperage as a steel type. Never. I just don't. Because if you want special bulk with it, you have to run a Solvus. But if you're running a Solvus, you can't have rocks.
True.
So.
True.
Yeah.
And while Clef and Luton can run them, you're not bringing Luton that often, and you don't really want Clef to have your rocks. You probably want Clef to have either an attacking move or a support move.
That's a fair point, yeah.
But again, it's like you said, pretty good team. It definitely can work, but those are my two personal gripes.
It's a bit on the awkward side, but I can see it doing some things.
I'm a big fan of this team. I love his Volt Turn combo with Lopunny and Rotom. I love his Clefable Zygarde duo. I think that duo is amazing.
Yeah.
Do not sleep on the sheep. Do not
Yeah,
sleep on the
and
sheep.
I was going to mention that as well.
What does it do other than like iron
It
defeat?
cotton guards iron press.
Oh, cotton guard.
It's
You
the
cotton guard twice, and
it's
then
the
you're
best
covered.
Gengar switching. It's immune to focus blast.
Oh,
How is it immune to focus blast?
it has bulletproof.
Oh, right. And it can hit back pretty hard, probably. I mean, anything can hit back hard against
And
Gengar.
actually has decent coverage. Even without terrain, still has Grassy Glide, Wall Charge. I think it might get superpowers, Sword Stance, Body Slam, Body
Yeah.
Press.
And he has a Cortana. I didn't even mention that. It's a great physical breaker.
Yeah.
And Starmie Spin. I think this team is higher, but like.
I mean, maybe
we
it's
can
just the
move on.
rest of the other 12. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe the other 12 are amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to number 12. It is the Ginger, coach of the E-Town Escavaliers. I know they were really hyping up their team. They got Scizor, Zapdos, Slowbro, Mamoswine, and they were like, this is broken. This is super broken. But just from looking at this, I have 2 points that I want to say. First, your fairy's Mimikyu. And Mimikyu is very, very underwhelming as a mon. Like, I understand the concept that he can set up. It has a free turn with Disguise. But, like, it's just not that... It's just a very underwhelming threat. And the fact that it's so linear like that means many people can prep for it like that. And then the other thing I want to point out is just look at the top 6. Other than Mamoswine, this team is so incredibly defensive. Like, and then Duraludon as the steal. Oh no, never mind. There's Scizor, but this team just looks incredibly defensive, and I just can't vibe with
This
it.
team is very defensive. He does not have. Is Mamoswine the only breaker? Does Duraludon count?
It can spam Draco and Flash Cannon, so I wouldn't call it passive, but it's not a good Pokemon.
Yeah.
Duraludon kind of just looks like I'm weak to flying, but I also want a dragon type. There we go.
Dragons weak to like fire types are bad in my opinion.
Also, hazards, Duraludon, Aerodactyl, Mamoswine, none of them want to run them.
True.
Yeah, you have Chestnut with spikes, and
at least that. Also, I don't get the Persian Olympic. You already have a dark type. You probably could have gotten something better than Persian.
Yeah, I think it was just like a last speed tier thing because the speed tiers on this team are not amazing.
I do think Persian's a little underrated. I think it's like decent. It's definitely worth 5 points, but
yeah,
as the only dark type.
When you have Incineroar,
they have Incineroar. Whoops. Yeah. It could take Ghost type hits pretty well, which the rest of his team can't really outside of Incineroar. Yeah, it kind of does the same thing as Incineroar right now. Because Incineroar also has Parting Shot.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing.
I think if you change the bottom 4 to stuff that can actually like combo tweaks and not like just type overlap, this team probably is a lot better.
I feel like if you change the Mimikyu to another fairy and then get enough points to like make Persian, I don't know, an Ambipom, this team can actually work.
Yeah.
Yeah, his defensive core at the top, really nice. It's the offense that's a little bit iffy, but honestly, if you could stall teams out.
Honestly, I don't think the offense is bad. Zapdos can be offensive, Mammal can be offensive, Scizor can be a threat, Arrow can be a threat, Duraludon can be a threat. I don't think the offense is the issue.
Yeah, but I think this is the type of team that can get walled easily.
Oh yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
But he does have Mamoswine, which is probably the best typing in the game.
But he does have he has the Dylan core, which is Zapdos, Slowbro, and Incineroar. Dylan core was that's the PBA Goomy. It's a PBA Goomy finalist from last season.
All it's missing is Dragapult.
Yes. Well, every team is. We should just give every team Dragapult, honestly.
Please don't do that to me.
Okay, let's go on to 11th. 11th is Shady, or Not Shady Kid, coach of the Breaking Zolts. This is a very interesting Mega Mawile team. And I know they didn't have Porygon 2 initially. I think they forgot about it until I reminded them that Porygon 2 exists. They had Chansey at first. And yeah, so I'm going to let Serp talk about his thoughts.
This team has really good Pokemon. Like, we can agree with that. Latias, Mega Mario, Keio, Corona, etc. All of these ones I think are great. But, again, hazards. Cursula, Mega Mawile. None of them want to run them.
Yeah. I also am not a huge fan of Rotom being the electric type.
Hey, Rotomo's a legend. Don't do this to me.
I think there are better options, and
Also,
even you get better options for less points.
there's nothing faster than Latias, so...
Yeah. The thing about
Yeah,
Rotom with me, and I think it'll show on this team, is I don't like that typically Rotom is most teams' answers to bulky waters. And I think this team definitely shows it too, because Rotom is also, like, things like Keldeo, Volcarona, and occasionally Latias, they get walled by bulky waters a lot. Like, other than Rotom, like, this team can't really deal much against something like a Milotic or something.
That's true. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of Rotom in general, but in this team, I definitely can see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a very weird looking team, to say the least.
The opposite is pretty fucking amazing, which makes me not put it any lower, but... Yeah.
Yeah, Volcarona is just a different beast.
Yeah.
Did anyone on Mo have Volcarona? Did I miss that?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Most people kind of stray away from Volcarona, but like it just sets up and sweeps.
I know it's fun. Like you could even prep for Volcarona and still lose to it.
Yeah. Like it just got insanely better with boots.
Yeah, I know Dad's here. I was wondering if you wanted to talk about Muck. Yeah, I know this isn't his PRs, but
I think Muck fits in well here. Obviously, I mean it's nice. He has plenty of offense though, so I think he just brings Muck with like AV or something most weeks because his special walls are pretty unreliable. I think that's something that this team is going to suffer from. Is he's going to have to build bulky and. You know, like he's only. I mean, I don't see really anything. I mean, Gastro's kind of bulky, but you can just run
Porygon 2 as well. But...
Yeah, Porygon 2. But
Gastro and Porygon 2 love to be toxic.
And not
And not
Well,
one is Sticky Hold, so I guess.
I mean, do you want to run Sticky Hold over Water Absorb, especially if the other team has
it depends
a water
on the matchup.
threat? Yeah.
Though I would rather prefer the water immunity. This team does so like you could avoid Scalds, etc.
Yeah, the water, like you said about Rotom, it's one of the only water counters.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to 10. 10 is I believe this is Chris, coach of the Drive-By Drafters.
Alrighty then, this one. Not gonna lie, before Great Spirit transactions, this was bottom 3 easily. Now top 10. It was so bad before transactions. Now it's actually pretty decent.
For context, the Mega Aerodactyl was initially a Mega Kangaskhan, and I believe Magmortar was a Marowak alone.
There was a Marowak alone in here, which just made this team crazy Ghost Week, especially when you're switching Drapion and Wigglytuff.
Yeah, it's still not amazing, but like it's not amazing to deal with ghosts, but it's a little better than having the Marowak.
It's better than having 3 Ghost weaknesses.
Yeah.
I think Mega Aerodactyl definitely makes this team more nice, but I mean, like, other than Latios, Zeraora, I feel like those two work really well together, especially on things like ladder, etc. I don't entirely see the synergy. Like, it kind of just feels like a bunch of mons together that do stuff.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. My only gripe was this team too is it needs a fighting type. Dark switch-ins are also not that great.
True.
Yeah. I want to point out real quick, we have a final score alert as Crushatron. How do you say that? Crushatron just beat Pikachu in the Crash. Just beat Pikachu in the Mo Division game. So y'all can come back to the stream now.
Oh, nice. Oh, it was a 3-0. Okay,
it was
Urshifu was the last mon. Okay, all right. Urshifu doing Urshifu things.
Are we surprised?
No, not at all.
All right, back to this team.
Yeah,
Togekiss Melmetal, I like.
I hate the metal of burning passion of 1,000 stones. That one should die in a hole.
I love Melmetal with a burning passion that one should not die in a hole.
And he has Latios as well. It's a good
Metal
fairy
should be a
dragon
12
silver.
pointer. It should be a 12 pointer. It's
Oh
not.
my god!
Oh yeah, that's gonna get picked up easy, like every time.
Um,
Like
I
not
disagree
care.
strongly with that. But
Melmetal double iron bashes and kills like 60% of mons.
it's not even that. It has ways of dealing with its counters. Like bulky waters get toxic. Passive mons can get subbed on. Steel types like Mega Aggron, or not Mega Aggron, but like other strong, like other stronger or more passive mons can get acid armored body pressed. Like the main flaw with Melmetal is once it gets chipped, it's pretty freaking useless. It can't do much. But most people don't
And when it,
realize that Melmetal is taking 1 or 2 mons with it.
yeah, but when your only steel type heads being chipped, Aspects Moonblast are just gonna hurt. Also, just run Rocky Helmet with your bulky water, and
True.
it will die in 2
It
hits.
does not like helmet. That is true. Which is why I think Mega
But you also
Kangaskhan
got
being on this
Delmas and
team
Zeraora.
made
So.
it much worse. Yeah, Zero
Yeah.
Melmetal was nice.
And he has the Wish Patchers. He has Togekiss and Wigglytuff.
You're never running
Wish
with
Patch into
Togekiss.
Melmetal.
You're never running
Yeah,
with
Wish
but like
Togekiss is
you could. It's an option.
yeah, but I think Wigglytuff is better simply because it has a massive HP stat and it will help things like Melmetal, which also has a massive HP stat.
Yeah.
Alright, we should
Yeah,
probably
Wigglytuff was a good 3-point pick. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
We talked a little too
We
much
should
about
probably
Melmetal.
move on. So 9. This is the top half of the top of the lower half is Arcadian, coach of the Kyoto Greninjas, and I've seen this core Mega Diancie Victini Greninja in the past, and it's terrifying. It's a very good
I
core.
can I can definitely agree with that. I'm fucking terrified looking at this, but it has everything that I look for: offense, speed tiers, decent rockers, the spikes up the everywhere. Everything here can run spikes. I'm just gonna hit you out with a pretty epic question. What's the fighting resist?
He's just said he made a big change, so
Wait, you made a
I don't
change?
know when.
When?
We must have just missed that.
When did you make the change?
Hold on.
The 3 resists are Victini. That
Oh,
doesn't count.
okay. Well,
Thunderous. That doesn't count.
I see their changes. So
Oh,
what I'm gonna do is let me make a transition, and I will put the new team up.
I forgot. I'm pretty sure Arcadian also told me about this. Yeah, they told me about the transactions, and I agree with them. I just forgot to put in the PRs.
All right,
My
so
bad.
we're still here,
Bad
by the way, if
mod.
you can hear us. But let me put the new team up. I apologize about this. I am not a professional streamer.
And
But
I'm
you
a
should
bad
be.
moderator.
I keep seeing the Twitch Prime logo, and I'm like, oh, Arcadian's like sub to you, but that's not what that
Yeah, I was gonna say thank you for subbing to
is.
my non-visible sub button.
Okay, so with the transactions, this team definitely goes up because I'm looking at them right now, and yeah, this is way better. Sorry, Arcadian, I forgot to change the PRs.
That's all good. We'll have him at 9 for now. We'll just talk about his new team.
All right.
I mean, I think it's still good. It doesn't have the same flaws as before, but I think it's still maybe like 1 or 2 spots higher. I don't think it changes all too well, but it's definitely better.
All right. So sorry for this screen. All right, we're back.
Although it still kind of has this. It still kind of has the same issues. It's still very fighting weak. You're switching to Dragonite now.
Okay, so hopefully you can see this now.
And
This looks like
Tangrowth.
the right
I
team.
would say Tangrowth could be a fighting switch in. I think it's defensive enough.
It can definitely take a few close combats, but
Does Tangrowth get synthesis?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it could.
The top 3 didn't change. So that's still powerful. I think with the momentum though, something I mentioned in the past, in the Mow ones at least, is Skarmory is the epitome of momentum killing. Tangrowth is also somewhat of a momentum killer, but yeah, the team was updated on the docs, just not the PRs. Sorry about that. Let's move on. But yeah,
I do love Blastoise. I love Shell Smash.
Blastoise is
Just
a
in
very good one.
general, and
Personally,
I
I
think
think it
it's
was a bit like
underrated.
overpriced here, but it is a very good mon.
Yeah,
I think
although it is the bulky water, which is, but
Yeah,
I think anything with like Focus Blast and Ice Beam will wreck this team. Which can't think of anything on top of my head, but yeah, anything with
I don't
Focus
know.
Blast and
Chansey
something
kind
to,
of handles it okay, I would say. I mean,
I guess.
Chansey. I hate Chansey in draft. I think Chansey's awful in draft, but
it's just a very weird team to me because like you have some really really potent offensive threats: Mega Diancie, Victini, Greninja, Dragonite, and then you have
yeah,
these
triple
more.
axle.
Yeah, and then like Blastoise too, and then you have more of these really passive mons in Skarmory, Tangrowth, Chansey, somewhat Stunfisk. So I feel like the flow of the game is going to change a lot just with who you send out, and you're gonna be in situations where you just kind of feel stuck. But
Yeah.
like regardless, if you play this team correctly, I can see this doing really well.
Same here, but I still don't like the fighting versus being a Dragonite.
Yeah, it's like
Oh yeah, there's only one
JR Boy
electric
said,
resist being
the
I
Stunfisk,
electric
mean,
resist.
but
you
at the
can get on 80 Tangrowth or
most
something.
electric types are also specially oriented too. So
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Chansey can kind of beat them. Wait, and there's Tangrowth too.
I feel like you could just vote switch on
I
Tangrowth
think
pretty easy,
Tango,
but
Stunfisk, and Chansey can deal with any electric
Yeah,
type.
I don't know any electric type off the top of my head that can
I just
break
hate
that.
Chansey, so I'm not gonna say anything good about it.
All right, let's move on to top 8. Number 8 is the Southeast Snorlaxes. We have the GOAT Halix. He unfortunately can't be here. Very sad. But yeah, this team is the top 3 is kind of what I expect from like Torn T. You see Torn T G King all the time. And then you have the
Great regen core, yeah.
then you have the Breaker with Torn, Mega Medi. Fantastic Breaker with Torn. Then you have a great Steel type in Registeel. Zarude being the Dark type. And then Comfey and Heliolisk are nice. And then I don't really understand the other 4 picks. They kind of just look like speed tiers, and Manaphy is kind of bad, at least now.
Hey, Manaphy's good. It's a great bulky water, in my opinion. I've switched so many people with Calm Mind, Rain Dance, Rest. So I think it's a good pick. My issue with this team is everything's great, amazing. It's why Venomoth and why Emolga? I do not get it.
I actually think Amolga's pretty good for being a 1.1.
I think they're there just for the speed tier.
Yeah, that's the reason.
I mean, the thing is,
Like it's definitely one of the better ones.
Emolga hits 100, which just like a few things that hit 100. There's just in fact 3 of them that do. 4 if you count Comfey.
No, I think Venomoth was the speed tier, and then Emolga was probably like a ground. No, not a ground. Electric resist or flying resist. Maybe it was the flying resist.
I suppose,
I have
but
no idea. But they have a fantastic flying resist in Registeel. I have
And
no clue.
Gligar.
like
Oh, you're talking about flying. Whoops.
those 2 mons I just do not get. I think this team would be so much better if it got like, I don't know, a fire type and then something else.
Yeah, there is no fire type on the team.
Yeah.
Like if they got Magmortar, which I don't know if it's taken heat, it would have been
It was. It
so
was on a previous two, I think.
Which mon?
Magmortar.
Magmortar.
Magmortar. Yeah, Chris has it.
Magmortar, Sword, Scorch, any fire type would be so much better here.
They do have my favorite 2 months to use, and that's Slowking Galar and if Vinny's in the chat, Gligar. Those 2 are
You're a
goated
disgusting
ones.
person.
Gligar is my favorite month to use in draft, and I was really upset that Alex took it.
But yeah, I think this team will do well. Like just Torn T Glow King is so annoying for people.
It is. It very much is.
Yeah. And I pray Hallex lands all of his hurricanes except against me.
I hope everyone suffers a tornado curse. You're never landing a hurricane.
Yeah, this Tornado Slow King combo is. So, and then you add in the Mega Metachan. This is a pretty good team, in my opinion.
Yeah. Alright, let's move on to number 7. Number 7 is Gradual with the Sunset Soul Rocks.
Honestly, amazing fucking team. I really, really, really like this one.
I mocked Helix with this team, and just a bit of a spoiler before they play their game. I really liked using this team. It was so fun. It was so incredibly, mostly because this has a lot of my favorite mods.
My only issue with it is one speed gap. Other than that, I think I would put this team way higher if that was fixed. But I really like this team.
Yeah,
this team has so many threats.
The other thing is too that this team doesn't have a real fairy. I don't really care who you are. Altaria is not a real fairy. Simply because it is a fairy type by technicality, but like it doesn't get that when it initially comes in, which is actually a lot more dangerous than you would expect.
Yep.
I get your point, but if you really need it to be a fairy, just make it with turn 1. And even if it doesn't work, just get an opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Rotom Washer Shifu. I think that's a great
like
2 months.
Looking at this team, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ball turn options with your Shifu.
And one of them is Cinderace.
Dude, Cinderace does so much for this team. Like that speed tier is so good. Spikes. Yeah.
This is gonna be annoying to fight, and Webs too if you want to bring Kricketune.
He's never gonna bring Kricketune.
I don't think he'll ever bring it. Okay, he's gonna bring it once or twice to spite us, but it's not gonna come all that often.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I said earlier, Shifu's the best one to draft. So
one thing I also pointed out, because I mean, of Altaria, I guess this team is a bit fighting weak. Like Palossand and Altaria are the answers, and I guess.
And not Articuno. You can bring Kricketune.
Articuno is neutral to fighting. I mean, Kricketune. Yeah. Kricketune. If Kricketune is your fighting answer, you have problems. But offensively, they have Rachi. They have Cinderace and Serena, which can high jump. I mean, like they get like Zen Headbutt, etc. They offensively beat them. But yeah, the only other thing I noticed is this team is a bit more physical, but it's not even that big of an issue. This team is just so good offensively. I really like it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue. Like, you have Roto, Mega Altaria can run special.
Even Jirachi can run special.
Meteor Beam or Calm Mindsets just blow people back.
Yeah, with Doom Desire.
Oh, Doom Desire or Shifu is, have fun with that.
Ooh, don't even... Oh my god, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
We just gave him a great idea.
I mean, I had Urshifu Jirachi last season, and unfortunately because of my team composition, I didn't get to run it all that often, but it's a really good idea. So, just a bit of advice here, Gradual.
With this amount of bold turn, I think that's a very likely possibility, like in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be... Yeah, the Fairy Breakers... Nuts.
Yeah. Alright, let's move on to number 6. I actually have no idea who this is. I forget.
It's me.
I actually didn't know who it was.
Alright, sir, but I want to hear your explanation first.
Your steel type's a fortress, and I really, really, really wish you had someone in the 110s. I really wish you did, because if so, I would put this in top 3 easily.
Yeah, I didn't
your
check.
Your steel type is a fortress with Salaman's Wishing.
I definitely explained. So I took my first 5, and then I was like, shit, I don't have a steel, and there was no steels left. So Fortress was the one. But yeah, the Wish and is definitely like an issue. Hopefully I don't need it, but
I think around that time in the draft, there were only 2 people who didn't have steals. It was me and you. And we were just I was like frantically looking for steals, and I was like, Ben, please don't take my steals. And then you took Fortress. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, I took Fortress because I wanted the Vault Switch and I wanted the spikes.
Advice for life: if you need a steel type and there's not any left, just get Probopass. Probopass will save your life.
What? What Probopass saved your life?
We need a Clown Serp again.
Probopass is a legend. Just trust me on this.
The other thing I wanted to point out is mons like Arcanine and Venusaur like to spread like Toxics and Will-O-Wisps, etc. And that kind of gets a bit neutered by Feeny. But that's just gonna be dependent on how you use them. Like, it's not enough to actually be considered negative synergy.
Also, I hate Feeny with a passion, so that's another thing.
Yeah, Feeny was one of the buns that I felt went with Lando just so well.
I think Feeny's fun, and you got a good dragon that doesn't rely on its dragon stab. So good job.
Yeah, that was the key. Even my lower ones, I feel like Claydol. I think it was Epic Pants last season did work with Claydol.
And it's a teleport user.
Yeah, just incredible. And then I don't know. I feel like the breakers are fine. Lando and Rampardo's break. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've literally never used it.
It has like 180 attack. It's gonna break something.
Yeah.
Scratch. I was looking at Steelix, but I don't know. I probably should have picked Steelix, but Fortress just kind of stuck out a bit more. Yeah. Also, I don't think Clefairy was available.
If you pick Steelix, I would have called this team
was available, but it was taken by someone who will not be named.
Is it you?
Yeah, it was me.
I did not see Clefairy on the board. But yeah, I like my top 5.
Your top 5 is pretty solid. I like it.
And then I might be able to sneak some nice breaks with the bottom bonds.
I think Rampardo's Poltegeist can definitely pull work, and same with Zoroark.
But Poltegeist is a big matchup fish.
Yeah. Please get something to the 110s, I'm begging you.
Other than Feeny, how do you break Darks?
Good question.
You don't have a fighting.
Probably Rampardos.
I feel like you just have to run a different Feeny set for that. But other than that, yeah. But there aren't that many offensive Darks. I mean, like defensive Darks anyway. There's Umbreon, Mandibuzz.
Yeah, there's Umbreon.
That's kind of it. So
and Mandibuzz can be broken by Bolton. So.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just Umbreon, but like
Umbreon's an issue.
I call that thing Dumbreon.
I think I played this week actually.
You play Umbreon this week?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
sorry about that.
Listen. Just run Bandit Fortress. You can break it with that.
Yeah, I'll do that. Bandit Fortress and Charlie. Ice is sleeping, so it's fine.
Alright, let's finally enter the top 5. 5th is Shade, who picked up a win today. To the Houston Glades. This team is freaking terrifying. The first 6 is gross.
The first everything is terrifying.
I don't know about you. I'm not scared of a Cacturn.
Yeah, I know. That's literally.
Good in my Emerald. Emerald playthrough.
I have 3 issues with this team. First of all, Florges, get rid of it. I hate it. I want it out.
Hey, that Florges did work today, okay? That Florges
Florges is a good one.
That Florges walled a Hydreigon, it 1v1 to Coco, and it beat a Gengar.
I do not care. Florges is a bad Pokemon.
I disagree with you. I think Florges
Second of all, nothing's faster than Raikou, which... Whatever. There's not a whole lot you can fit in this thing that's fast anyways, but... Issue number 3. Your ground resist is a Cacturn.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. There's no ground resist. Though, to be fair, Milotic can handle most grounds, except, like, Nidoqueen or something.
So can Kofax, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it can.
If there's, like, let's say, for example, I don't know, a offensive ground type that has rock coverage, you're dead. You're just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, this team is
you run into a Garchomp with Stone Edge. Oh.
If Milotic gets chipped at any point, this team kind of loses to Edgequake.
Yeah, Garchomp is a massive threat, actually. Now,
any ground type is a threat here.
Yeah, also, you really have to bank on that Milotic doing work.
Same issue with ghost typing. You're switching to Cacturn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Moltres there in Defogger? Oh no, Scissor's there. Scissor's there.
There's Moltres, Florges, and Scizor. I think it's fine.
Oh, Florges too. I forgot about Florges.
Like,
Yeah, Florges can also handle Ghost okay, as long as it's not Gengar, but apparently that's wrong to be
There was a shift tree before the character, which I do think character is better. That doesn't mean the issues are solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a big issue with this is a lot of their like resistances and a lot of their work is in Cacturn, which is not really what you want it to be in.
Yeah.
Like you said, you need a Ghost Resist.
Wait, is
like,
Cacturn their only dark too?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Like, I'm not really sure how Florges beat Gengar, because I gotta go back and watch the game, because Gengar should just clean this team up.
Probably like Poison Berry Psychic or something.
Maybe.
No, the Florges did beat the Gengar today, though, which is funny.
I know. But wouldn't it still die to, like, a Sludge Bomb or something?
No, it lived the Sludge Wave and used Psychic to kill a Gengar.
Got it, it had Psychic.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
I mean, yeah. That might appear in a future recap video, but yeah.
Oh yeah, also, your Dark Resist is a Florges, which has horrible defense, and a Cacturn.
Yeah.
So
the Cacturn, man, it's so important to this team.
I've never heard those words in my life. Cacturn is so important to a team.
Shane, you better be listening. I know you're listening because I see you in the chat. You gotta bring Cacturn every week.
Alright, let's move on to number 4. Since we still have watch coaches to do.
Cacturn's going for MVP this season.
Is Ace Harm, coach of the Melbourne Magnazones. It's a Polt team. What do you expect? Polt Rillaboom.
Yeah. Polt Rillaboom too, jeez.
Can we just call this team terrifying?
It's terrifying, and I have to fight it week 1.
Okay, but now let me.
Well, you're gonna start 0-1, I believe.
Let me tell you a little secret.
There's no ground type.
Exactly. God, why do you have to ruin the surprise? But whatever. No ground type.
It has Electivire though. Electivire can run Motor Drive.
There's an Electivire and a Rillaboom. Okay, you have electric switches. Still, no ground type's a bit. Ooh.
Yeah.
Like I think anything like Bandit Stone Age will. Any Bandit Stone Age will wreck this team.
Now, someone in the chat said top drop Tornai for a ground type, but Torn and Komala are the only defoggers.
They did.
Komala's a defogger?
Oh wait, no. Sorry, Komala's a rapid spinner, and I forgot Weezing. So never mind.
Isn't Mesprit defog?
No, Mesprit does not get defog. I forgot Weezing.
What the hell? I get the late trio mix.
If they dropped the Torn, I do not see it in here.
No, they didn't. I was saying if they did.
They drafted Tornai. I don't think Donphan is available, but that would be a great.
Also, I think someone said, I don't know who said it, but these hazard removals, Weezing, Komala, Torn, really? Those 3? No?
Yeah. Because Weezing, you don't really want to.
Torn is not. Komala can do it, but you don't want to bring.
I never like running one defog on Weezing. I'd rather have like Wisp, Pain Split, and then like a Fairy and Poison. But I guess it depends on who you're playing.
I mean, I've never used Weezing, so I don't entirely know.
I've used it a few times, and it's not a bad Pokemon, but I wouldn't call it. It suffers from 4 Moonstone Syndrome a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Having it to run defog and most weeks is gonna hurt.
Yeah, because you need the Strange Theme, and you also need the Poison coverage.
And who knows if you want to run Flamethrower too.
Yeah, but I don't know. Someone mentioned it. The top 4, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Could carry his team.
Yeah.
The top 4 make me shit my pants.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 3. It's me. I'm not.
There's just some bias.
I'm not.
Sir, are you in this division?
Huh?
No, he's not. He's in Wash. So I'm not going to mention anything. I'm going to let Serp talk about my team because I want to see his thoughts.
So great ass Pokemon in here. Great rockers, great removal, speed tiers, typing, etc. But I do not get that Wartortle and Klefki pick. I really do not.
Wartortle is there as a meme because I didn't know what else to get with 2 points. Klefki is there because it's my fairy type, and Klefki kind of gives a decent amount to the team.
I mean, I suppose, but I think any other fairy would have done better.
True. But You see how that's
also
a round
need a
9
steel
pick?
type.
You see how that's a round 9 pick? That means they were all gone.
I'm just amazed you picked Skuntank and Lantern over steel types.
Oh, it's because they were all gone by then. Like I was looking at things like Registeel, etc., and they were all gone. So then I realized, okay, I think I think I have to get Klefki. So yeah, and then I looked at all the teams and I realized nobody can really get Klefki, so that's fine. And then Escavalier is there as a second steal because I just wanted another steal, another fairy break.
Escavalier is good.
Yeah,
so.
I wanted to try it out. I've heard decent things about it.
I think if you got not a War Turtle, I would have put this in top 2. But since you got a War Turtle, it's top 2.
War Turtle's gonna shell smash and carry. Okay, don't sleep on it.
Screens with like a Mew Cosmic Power set will.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't really break through that.
Yeah, the variety of this team is going to be really interesting to me because I don't have a desert like an actual like Firewater Grass Core. Really, I don't have a Dragon type either. But I feel like it's going to be really hard to break Mew, Lando, Blissey, Lantern. I feel like it's going to be a bit annoying. And then Mew can run physical or special. Lando can set up or be annoying. Infernape can set up and just break shit. Pidgeot's probably is really linear, but with the amount of like steel breakers I have, it's nice.
I do agree with. I like Ostriches. I don't actually know who that is in the.
I don't know who that is either.
I do kind of agree. This
I think it's.
You think the team's passive? I can agree.
Yeah, with that. Oh my god, it's Vinny.
That's Vinny?
I thought that was a meme. But yeah, I agree with them. It is very passive. Like, Infernape doesn't really want to run setup, in my opinion. I think it's rather U-turning and close combating and flare blitzing. Pidgeot I actually really like as a mega. It's one of my favorite megas to use.
I thought it was pretty cheap
that, but yeah, but I don't know. It just seems very passive. Blissey, Skuntank, Klefki, even Lando. I mean, Lando can do everything.
This team would have been better if I didn't take Pidgeot round 4. You know what? I 100% agree because I wanted Primarina and Weezing Galar and stuff and Serena, and I'm like, maybe they'll make it back to me. And then all 3 went right after I got Pidgeot. I'm like, what the frick happened? So, yeah. I'm kind of surprised this is number 3. Hopefully I can make this team work as the numbers indicated. But we'll see.
It does work. It doesn't have many weaknesses that I can see that I can do.
Yeah. It's a very weird team. It looks super unorthodox, but hopefully it's something I can use.
Okay, so number 2, we have perfection. Literal perfection over here. No issues whatsoever. Great team.
Pizza oven.
Pizza.
Pizza oven.
I want to trigger Vinny and say how I did it in the coach reveals, but I'm not going to.
The only way this thing's not number 1 is Crawdont and Grotle. That's literally it. And even then, those are good Pokemon.
Are you kidding? Crawdont, amazing.
Crawdont, Grotle can be amazing. I've seen it put work. I've seen a Curse Grotle sleep someone. Great mon, love him. Crawdont can hit hard. I will. But I think if Grotle was a better grass and Crawdont was another offensive dark or water, whichever your team needed, this would have been top 1. I really, really, really like this team. Camel with Terrain, Corviknight, Hydreigon, Gengar. Ooh.
I can definitely see how this team lost to Florgus, though. Doesn't have anything for that, but
it's a very well-rounded team. There's not much to say about it. Hydreigon, Gengar, Coco. It's freaking terrible.
Hydreigon, Corviknight, Coco as well. Corviknight just a great addition to this team. I think it's like
Corviknight is a bit pressured defensively.
Yeah, it has to run Defog, I think. Does anything? Can Grotto run Defog?
Hydreigon
is that
Hydreigon. You don't want to run Hydreigon Defog.
And Coco. But Coco and Hydreigon don't want to run Defog.
Unless you want to run, Hawlucha.
Yeah.
I mean, hey. You want.
Listen, bulky Hawlucha can be a thing.
It can.
It also has Munchlax, which will probably win, 90% of the games for him, so.
It came to week 1.
That actually okay. Squash makes a good point. Munchlax wants to rest. Just electric terrain.
True.
Yeah. I don't think that's that big of a deal, though.
If your negative synergy is with your 2.5, I think you're fine.
If you're like, damn, this rest would be game winning, but I don't know what to tell you.
All right, and that's it for the PRs. By the way, there is no number one. We can move on. To the wash.
Moving on to wash. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just kidding. Number one is somehow this guy got here. He is the shitty Webbers, and he does have a pretty shitty Weber on here. And Slurpuff.
Oh,
no, I'm just
hey,
kidding.
hey,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love
hey,
Slurpuff. I love Slurpuff. But
Slurpuff is a go under 10.1.
Listen, Vinny can attest to this. This is the peak of a SERP team. I would draft this and I would love it. Vinny can confirm.
All right, we get it. He has superior. Okay, we get it.
Not even because of superior. I will legitimately draft this and use this. This is something I will use. Like, Vinny can fucking agree. This is the most balanced team ever, and I love it. Although I do not like Milton, but that's personal reasons.
I like every single mon in this team. Like, I don't see a mon that I don't like.
Yeah.
The only thing that you maybe can say is Mega Manetric, but even that, I think is fine.
Jolteon.
Yeah, but, he needs a Mega. So.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need a Mega, but...
Mega Manetric is fine.
Yeah, in this context it is. And Slowking Mandiba is amazing duo.
I just don't like how his bulky water answers are incredibly linear. Both of them.
Yeah, Superior and Manetric.
We could have this debate forever, which is better between Jolteon and Mega Manetric.
I think Mega Manetric is better. Doesn't it have better stats?
It does have better stats.
Better move pool.
It actually has coverage without having to use Water Ball, so...
Yeah, that's true. I just personally like the item slot on Jolteon, and I think Jolteon has a bit more variety with like wish sets, quick feet, specs, etc. But at the end of the day, it's a personal preference.
Imagine running Jolteon.
Shut your mouth. There's a Slurpuff right there.
Slurpuff is amazing. It can set up legs, it can wish, it can belly drum, like...
Slurpuff can do
Jabberboys, Miltank, amazing.
And surprisingly, it does it pretty decently.
In future, if we do these streams, I should find a way to put the chat on the side, so this doesn't look like huge out of context stuff for whoever's watching this on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Behind
that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. No, sir, he's talking about how Jolteon is better.
Okay, I do not care. Shut up, baby.
Yeah. But somehow Helix is here. This is not a meme, again. So Helix.
He did really well last season, so I'm expecting him to do well again.
Stop rigging the PRs, Helix.
Oh my.
Yeah, overheat does.
The main thing I want to point out too is this team is very dependent on how Helix is going to use it. I mean, like most teams, but this team very specifically, because this team, though it has some linear pieces, it also has some good variety in like Garchomp, Aegislash, Nidoqueen. So those three pieces are so pivotal to this team. And if Helix doesn't use those correctly, I feel like it's just going to crush this team.
Yeah, and I even feel like Superior can be not even one-dimensional. I mean, it is. It's going to click Leaf Stone. But, you could run, Sub-Leech Seed Glare. You could run, Specs. I don't know. I don't know. You can't really...
Sword Stance? It gets Sword Stance?
Yeah, it gets
Sword Stance Leaf Blade knockoff.
Yeah, you can run physical if you really want, but I don't know why you would.
I mean, at that point, I'd honestly just run, Coil.
Yeah, Coil.
It gets Calm Mind, you feel like it.
We can appreciate that last round.
How did Nidoqueen go to the last?
Yeah, last
some of
round.
these mons being drafted in the last rounds, what is happening?
Yeah. This draft was crazy. Everybody just kept getting sniped, and then Helix is here chilling with Nidoqueen last.
Yeah, he got his Slowking Mandible score and was set. So that's it for Heat, right?
Yep, that's it for Heat. So thank you so much, Serp, for hopping on and doing the PRs.
Thank you, sir.
Yay! I'm still gonna stay here because fuck you, Dad.
Oh, you're
I think you have to stick around for a little bit.
You're welcome to stay and come up with your sets. If we see a Volcanion, you can talk about your flame charged Volcanion once that 5-0'd someone.
That sounds
okay. You say that, but I find choice band.
You read Choice Band Volcanion? What does it even get on the physical side?
Flare Blitz Mutilation Explosion.
Oh my god. Okay.
Choice band explosion.
Alright.
Love that. I am adding the wash game.
Alright.
Do you want to take a quick 2-minute break, or
yeah, let's take a
just
2-minute break. Because my laptop is going to die soon and I need to get the charger.
Okay, sounds good to me. I will be back in 2 minutes.
Alright, for the 17 people, by the way, who are still in the chat, you guys are troopers. Thank you for staying for so long, even though this is much longer than we expected. So, props to you guys. If you guys are wash coaches waiting for your PRs, yeah, well, they're coming now.
I'm gonna come in hot. I'm gonna be a little aggressive with the first few, and then we'll be a little bit nicer with the rest of them. Let's see, where are we starting here?
Yeah, I'll let you get ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let me. Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I'm keeping on track. You sent me the top 16, so I'm just gonna get that real quick. Alright.
Once Span hops back in, we'll get her fired up.
Sure. Oh, by the way, Helix, since you were first in PRs, you're expected to win the league. I just want to point that out. If you don't win the league, you're getting demoted to Rotom fan.
Want to say, I had my hand in each pick that Helix made in this draft. Let it be known.
Each pick?
Yep.
I see.
I was consulted. I think the only one that he made immediately was the Chomper.
Right.
And AG. AG was a pretty clean pick too.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Chomp Aegislash.
No, I think it's pretty solid. Having a super strong steel type like that with 4 times weakness to ice is pretty good.
Yeah.
Alright. At 10-4 Eagle. I guess we'll get fired up. So we're not keeping
Did we add
chat way too long.
Did we add the wash coaches?
Yes. I don't think as many wash coaches have been waiting for their PRs as
Yeah, that's fair.
Mow and Heat. Yeah. So
they can
yeah,
watch the
they'll tune in
recording.
later. All right, let's get it fired up, I guess.
Yeah.
Just get
Yeah.
her
Let's just start.
started. Ben can hop in.
Yep. All right. Let's start with number 16, which is Lemon's team, coach of the Dallas Donfans. So.
Okay. Okay, you want me? Okay, so to start straight away, I'll start a little bit more positive. I like Lele and Zam on the same team. I mean, they share the ghost weakness. It's not a huge deal, even though his dark type is Mightina, which is deplorable. But we won't start there. I think his offense is pretty decent here. I mean, his special attackers are extremely strong. There are things that can wall Zam and Lele, but not super well. Most mods can only take one expanding force in terrain from both of them offensively. So that's a good start. I mean, steal round one, with like the third pick. It's Lemon, so we'll let it pass. It's kind of his signature thing.
I like the triple fairy core they've got going on there.
Yeah, Wigglytuff will come to one game if he plays Pult, as you do. Otherwise, you're never going to bring it. And, obviously, just to be honest, I think this team sucks. Otherwise, I think the overlapping of typings is like just really bad on this team. Double steals doesn't really make sense. Double psychic works, but it makes
steals?
this team.
Oh wait, steal a Cobalion. Never mind.
Yeah. Triple fairies. I don't get it. I don't know why he has Wigglytuff. Altaria can get a pass, I guess, because it's Dragon before Mega. This team just gets 6-0'd by stuff that runs Shadow Ball. Like, unfortunately I don't face Lemon, but I've got Spectre on my team, and I don't know what he's swapping in on it.
Yeah,
reliably.
Mightyena is not going to help.
Yeah, and I mean, he has hazards are not great here. His removal is also not good. Altaria is probably going to be slotted with Defog along with Rotom Heat most weeks. And you've got rocks on Cobalion only. And to be quite honest, you're not wanting to run Cobalion with hazards all the time, and you're not going to want to bring it most weeks because honestly, it's a pretty bad month. So
yeah.
Why did everyone hate Cobalion?
Just because, it has its spot on a team, but what's it doing on this team with Celesteela? Yeah. I just think this team has a lot that it needs to fix.
On the right
it has a double water
can
too.
do work. It just needs the psychic fighting. I mean, the psychic, flying, and I don't know the third type I'm missing that it doesn't cover. It just needs those three weaknesses covered in some way.
There's just a few things. I think there's more than a few, but I think with 4 transactions, Lemon could make this team better. There's just so much type overlap, and the hazards and removal are really subpar. It just kind of makes this team super low on my rankings.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's move on to 15, which is none other than Serp.
Serp, if you wanna defend yourself before I dig in, you're more than.
I'm offended.
Go ahead.
I'm hurt.
I am noticing that every Deoxys speed team is really bad.
Yeah, all the Deoxys speed teams have been really lackluster.
I truly think. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
I would not let this slander happen. Deoxys speed, amazing Pokemon, great Scarfer, great Spiker, great.
Did you just call Deoxys speed
great
Scarfer?
The dude outspeeds Scarfers like normally.
Listen, that thing is a weather killing machine. I love that mon.
Yeah, but why do you want that thing to kill weather when you have a Charizard Y that literally changes the weather?
I do not care.
And a Hippowdon that also changes the weather.
I ran Scarf Deoxys speed 3 times in the same league. And it put work in all 3, so I do not care about your opinion.
Was this league mono weather?
Yeah.
But, okay, so I get the complaints, but I don't still think it's bottom 2. Yeah, conflicting waters, whatever. I just wanted to use Sarwai and Hippo. I just wanted a fat ground, so I just chose Hippo.
Yeah, the problem also with the dual weather is you don't have anyone to take advantage of the weather except Charizard.
I just wanted to use Sard, and I hate using grass poisons because I want my grass type to either resist ground at the very least.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I hate grass poisons, which is mainly which are all the Corpus sleepers.
Yeah. No, that's
and
okay. So
I just picked Hippo because I wanted a ground recovery because my wish person is Lickitung.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Dad talk about it.
Okay, so your team, I'll let you slide a bit, sir, because I know you just took what you wanted to play with, and I respect that. Obviously, like if you're trying to make a really intact team, you're not taking Zardwai in round 2, straight up. I mean, that's just gonna be honest. Just to be like positive a little bit, the special attackers on the team are pretty solid. I mean, they are both flying type, which is super bad, but having Hippo and Registeel there to deal with anything that's going to come in and hit them, like rock types, is really nice. And between Tentacruel, Comfy, Modem, and Superior. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, I wrote that wrong. Between Comfy and Tentacruel, and Rotom Mow, he should have like no issues keeping hazards off his side of the field.
That's what I was about to say as well.
I think with having Dio and like having a decent spike setter, not having spin is pretty bad, but I don't.
Tentacle is spin.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Okay, so that's pretty good. Big issue here though is like Ben said, like there's no reason to ever pay that much for Hippo and Zardwai and have 0 weather abusers. It makes 0 sense. Your physical attackers on this team are fucking terrible. Terrakion is a sole physical attacker, makes prepping super easy for this team. Like, I know Terrakion is super strong, punch holes and stuff, but you're going to have some issues when, like, you're going to have to run Guzzlord with Band some weeks. You're going to have to bring some setup steel.
Just wait.
Also, you spent 46 points.
Just wait.
You spent 46 points on Deoxys, Charizard, and Hippowdon, and I don't think that trio is worth 46 points. But I don't know. I also just think Deoxys is bad.
The other thing I kind of wanted to point out is I don't understand what Swellow's doing here.
Speed tier. That's kind of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well too.
I mean, I understand it's your breaker because but you have a Mega Charizard Y. No special mon is gonna switch into that. But like, I feel like Swellow just yes, Swellow gets Guts, Facade, Brave Bird.
That could be decent.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good on the physical side.
To be pretty straightforward, this team gets fucking 6-0'd by a strong fighting type like every day of the week.
There's a Comfy right there.
Yeah, the Comfy.
Acting like
Tentacle, if you're running defensive, can do it pretty well as well, I think.
And the Ultra Speed is not frail.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. It has the luxury of investing.
Really, this team just comes down to not having weather abusers is like the massive gripe. I just think like spending that many points, you're spending 28 points on 2 of the best like weather setters. I mean, yeah, I'd rather have Torkoal obviously because it's cheaper, but like it'd be nice to see like I know you explained you didn't want Venusaur, but it'd be nice to see like Venusaur or like Dracozold or something like that on this team.
Yeah, if you even had like even a lower tier weather abuser, I don't know.
I was considering Stoutland instead of Lickitung, but I wanted a Wish Passer because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lickitung is fine, honestly. I was just thinking, like, I mean, Stoutland comes to mind. I also thought of Sandslash, even though it's not even, like, even that good. But, like, you can, like, at least something where teams, when they're prepping, have to be like, okay, I have to deal with Sand a little bit.
Fun fact, there is a Sunsweeper. I just want to let you know.
I mean, is it Charizard Mega Y?
No. There's a weather abuser. I'm just not gonna let you know which one it is.
It's freaking Comfy, isn't it?
Yeah.
How is Comfy a weather abuser?
Growth.
Oh, it does get growth.
Kind of poggers. Alright.
Oh, wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Let's move on to the next one. Yep.
Alright.
Unfortunately, you can't run Heat Rocks.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
14th is Tark.
Yeah, you guys can give some points on this one if you want.
This is the classic Mega Mawile Slowbro Slowbro. I can't really say much to that. Zygarde on this team.
Tampa Bay Lightning actually just won or just about to win the Stanley Cup. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Fun fact.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You bring that up every time this team. Okay, continue with what you're saying.
Zygarde on this team is pretty nice, though. Never mind. And then following that, you have two really good grass breakers in Moltres and Nihilego. Is Raikou the fastest Mon here?
Yes, which is a big knock on this team. Raikou
Yeah.
being your fastest is not good,
That's
especially in a league that allows Pult.
Yeah. Moltres.
Do they have any trick room centers?
Yeah, Slowbro.
Okay,
And
besides Slowbro.
Executor.
Executor. This team really takes advantage of trick room.
Yep.
Yeah, it has the nice benefit. I'm really, though it has only two. This is something we want to emphasize too. This team only has two removers, but these two mons want to run removal, so it's completely fine in my opinion.
Yep.
Unpopular opinion.
Moltres runs defog all the time.
I don't think Moltres likes defog
Really?
in a lot of games anymore. No, because it learns Hurricane this gen. And in most games, you're going to want to run both. And if you're running it without Roost, it's an in.
What's
And
the
a lot
I
of the
almost
time,
think though
Moltres
U-turn is not
U-turn.
needed on Moltres.
I don't think.
No,
In
you
fact,
get
I
rid of
almost like
U-turn for
Scorching
sure.
Sands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scorching Sands is
When
good
I
too.
used Moltres, I liked running Toxic on it a lot.
Yeah. But, it doesn't always want to run defog because it gets 4 move slot syndrome, but it likes it more than other stuff that's like 4 times weak to it, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Hitmontop, obviously you can run spin on
Hitmontop's
Hitmontop every single game.
yeah.
It's very reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean my issue with this team is it's also kind of a positive. He has a lot of setup on this team. Almost every Mon can set up in some way, like Meteor Beam Neolego, Combine Raikou, DD Zygarde, SD Mawile, Combine Slowbro. Like, again, every single Mon on this team has some sort of setup move, which is a pain in the ass to prep for. Obviously Zygarde and Mawile are going to be a nightmare, but outside of Mega Mawile and like a Choice Band Zygarde, his breakers are not great.
Yeah, I agree.
Metagross with Choice Band is strong, but there's a lot of things that can swap into like a Zen Headbutt and a Meteor Mash.
I don't care
he can
about
run
Belly
other
Drum Licky
coverage,
Licky.
but-
That's not a thing.
No, also
He really went for it.
But yeah, again, Raikou being the fastest isn't good. It's not that big of a knock on the team. Like, you just run a Scarfer, like Neolego's a great Scarfer. That's really it though. Isn't great, but this team has a good amount of bulk, which is nice. Decent amount of sustain. And then I think something that people don't, you see that there's 3 rockers on the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, there's 4. No, Metagross gets rocks too, right? Okay,
I'm
maybe that's
pretty
not
sure,
that
yeah.
bad.
It's Mawile, Nihilego, Metagross.
But 3 of those 4 most weeks are not.
Wait, what's the 4th one?
rocks.
Zygarde?
No, Zygarde doesn't get
Zygarde.
rocks.
Does Zygarde not get rocks?
It does not.
Okay, well, 2 of the 3 do not want to run. Mawile's almost never running rocks, unless you have a really good matchup where you only need 3 moves. Which I don't, I guess it's up to you if you want to run that, but Metagross usually doesn't want to run rocks. So it's probably going to fall on Neolego a lot of games, and you're going to want that to be a Scar for most games because of his speed tiers.
Yeah.
I think Metagross rocks is okay. I agree with you. It doesn't want to run rocks all the time, but I think if you were like doing like a lead Metagross with rocks.
But the thing is, this team, like Licky Licky, is hard pressed to be the special wall in this team. So I could see AV Metagross having to come a lot.
He has the bulk, but not the full bulk.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to have to run AV a lot. He's going to have to run full, like, defensive Moltres some weeks for sure. Stuff like that. Although you do have Slowbro, obviously, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Even Zygarde with Coil can be kind of...
Oh, yeah. Coil Zygarde wins games.
Yep.
Right. Number 13 is Scroche. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not.
Scroche or Schrock?
Wait, where's he from again?
Germany.
I know.
I apologize if I said your name.
Is Munich a real place?
Is it a real place? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a real place.
Sounds fake.
Yeah. Mega Medicham Gengar is terrifying. I think they could have waited.
He has Totodile on the team, so he should be higher.
Yeah.
Do I meme and say I like Totodile, or do I be honest and say that it's
a waste of the slot?
Yeah.
You have to be honest and say it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even write your Violet on it.
Wait,
So
this
just
team
as
has
an
3 waters. I mean, one of them is a Totodile, but like 3
Oh,
waters is funny.
Yeah, I think Blastoise and Seismitoad makes no sense together. I think they both do roughly the same thing. I think like Blastoise can be like definitely as offensive water, but I just like they're both Scald switch-ins. Blastoise offers more removal, but I just don't get the point of running both of them here. It's
I
just
don't
like
hate it, but I think I would have rather a grass type.
yes.
They have good grass switch-ins though. So I mean, the reason I don't
Yeah,
see
Miltank Talonflame is solid, and Dragonite as well.
Dragonite, Gengar.
Yeah, so I mean, this team like hazards aren't bad here. You know, like you got rocks on like 4 mons that don't mind running them at all. Actually,
Yeah, Toad's gonna run rock.
It's
I don't think so.
Seismitoad,
I
Miltank,
don't think it
Clef
does
gets
either, yeah.
spikes.
But Seismitoad, if you're bringing Seismitoad, like it's either offensive or rocks. So
You almost always run rocks on it. Yeah, it can always fit rocks. Miltank can fit rocks a
How
lot
does
of
this
weeks.
team deal with the Zygarde? Where's the grass type?
yeah, that's why I really
no,
think
I mean,
There's a bunch of levitators.
Yeah, as JR Boys said that in the chat, and like I completely agree.
Yeah, that's my issue. With, like Totodile and Seismitoad, I mean, or Blastoise, one of those can be swapped out, and they can get like a nice strong grass type to kind of like bunker down at the end, which would be really helpful.
Here with some Smackdown shenanigans.
I mean, like Talonflame and Dragonite on the same team, the flying type's fine, but Talonflame's literally only on this team to be a speed tier.
Yeah.
Like that's it. There's no other reasons here.
Yeah. I also personally don't like the pivoting of this team. Like I feel like it's not enough. It's Blastoise, Talonflame, and Vikavolt.
What's Blastoise's pivot? Flip turn?
Flip turn, yeah.
But that might just be me. I'm more of an offensive player, so even though I draft a pretty passive team here, but yeah. Yeah,
I do like Vikavolt as a switch. I like slow electric types. I know everyone's like fast electric types. I think slow electric types are good too because you get the slow volt.
Slow electric types are just as broken.
Yeah. Volt and Bisharp here are really nice together, obviously, with the Defiant boost. Can kind of force that out. Obviously, Medicham and Gengar are really all the offense he'll need most weeks because I'm going to be honest, I don't know a single team in Wash that can deal with both on the same team, so he'll probably run both almost every week.
Yeah.
Outside of those, though, my issue is the team's pretty dog shit offensively. I mean, Dragonite's a good mon, but it really needs a Dragon Dance to hit super hard.
The thing is, with Clefly screens, you can definitely get the setup off your Shell Smash or Dragon Dance. So.
Yeah, so I see a lot of. I made a note of it too that I can definitely see some like 5-0s with Dragonite behind screens this season, just because it'll get like a DD up and clean sweep because that's kind of what it does. But otherwise, yeah, those are just kind of my thoughts. I really don't think it's a bad team. I just think like there's just some overlap there that makes it a little subpar.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
12 is Pluto supporter. This is a very unorthodox Torn team. Now, when I say unorthodox, I'm used to seeing the Torn T regen cores, and this is a nice change of pace, to say the least.
Yeah, I personally actually love this team just because it's pretty up my alley. Like PRs aside and all that. Huge issue with this team is I think the speed tiers. Obviously you've got Torn T, which is higher. Electabuzz, I'm not even counting as a speed tier. I think it's a dog shit electric type that people just throw in because you got a little leftover.
Does it get like the motor drive or the lightning rod?
No, it gets static.
Yeah,
I believe. I don't think it gets lightning rod.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't. Yeah, that makes it a lot worse.
Yeah, you have Torn at 120, 3 Mons around the 100 range. Then you go to Nidoqueen at 76, and then you kind of just go off from there.
I just think having 3 Mons in the 100 range and all 3 are your only special breakers on the whole team. I'm not counting Torn as a special breaker because I really think it needs a nasty plot up to hit hard, especially on bulky steals.
I think your Shifu is going to have a lot of fun against this team.
Yeah, hey, me too. But yeah, no, I don't. All 3 of your special breakers, I get that.
Until it gets flame bodied.
I get, yeah. In my world, it would be. But like I get Hydra can run physical if it really wants, but teams are going to get beat up by Volcarona as they do. But I just do not like 3 mons with 100. It just doesn't sit well, especially when they all are fulfilling roughly the same role on your team as special breakers.
Yeah.
It just seems super weird. Removal here is fine. It's not good. I mean, it's not great. I mean, Hydreigon's never going to run defog, so don't even worry about that. But Torn and Komala will definitely be the removal almost every week.
Torn is arguably the best defogger in the game.
And they don't have much that really is destroyed by rocks or spikes or anything.
Not really, only Volk. Nothing else really cares.
Yeah, and Volk's gonna run heavy duty goods, so.
My only other remark too is they got Melmetal really early, and the biggest thing that pops out of people is Melmetal kind of gets walled by bulky waters. It just gets chipped. How does this team break bulky waters?
Yeah, the Volcarona isn't enough. It's like all on Chestnut, which I don't think he could really do that.
Chestnut can't really do that.
Also, this team,
you can try.
This team, momentum-wise, is not great.
Yeah.
They need to run U-turn on top 2 mons almost every week to ensure stuff. You can do this sub dual stab Hydreigon with Roost or Nasty Plot if you really want. But U-turning to get those threats out is going to be hard.
Yeah, it has 3 breakers, but it can't get into them.
And this team has 0 flying resist outside of Melmetal. Luckily, he drafted Torn, because otherwise, I mean, like, if Pluto has to go against Aaron at some point with Zapdos and Rain, he's going to have a really bad time.
Something like a Mega Arrow. I mean,
Electabuzz will handle
goes in against all teams, but
yeah, the shitty electric will handle it. But I don't dislike this team that much. I just think like the speed tiers really throw me off for the special. I know Volcarona after one Quiver Dance, like speed tiers don't matter anymore, but it just, you know, all 3 of them again. I know I said it fucking 5 times already, but yeah, three Pokemon that want to do the same thing that are all in the same speed tier, so
yeah,
it's not super ideal.
All right, let's go to number 11, which is Jolie, coach of the Kattegat Corviknights. Mega Dante Victini. We saw that one earlier. I think Arcadian's team in Heat. I love those two together. It's really good. They pressure each other's common weaknesses. Like Victini pressures the steels. Dante pressures the darks. Nidoking, very nice. It's a very, very offensive team, but I think something you might mention is the defensive backbone is almost non-existent. Also, Latios Victini is...
I had Vaporeon Steelix, which is okay, I think.
But I question Latios Victini a bit.
Yeah, that's kind of dual the same thing.
Yeah, so I think again we're doing the same thing here as the last team, right? That's why they have almost the same score. Look at all their special attackers and like look at the speed tiers that they reside in besides Nidoking. It's literally the same thing as the last team. You got Victini and Thunderous T that are the same speed tier. And you got Thundy's 101 and not 100, but whatever. And Latios and Diancie are both 110. So like again, it's fine, but like prepping for this team and its offensive threats are way easier if you have fast mons because you already know what the speed tier is going to be. And obviously the speed tiers as you go down are not great either. You've got Nidoking, Kanga, and Thwackey all in the same speed tier pretty much, all within 10 of each other, even though they're not really going to run any defense. And then like you guys mentioned, like Backbone's not great. I mean, if Vaporeon dies, he's going to have to run some kind of like defensive or AV sets on the rest of the mons besides Steelix.
Yeah.
Because the team's going to get broken pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do like is the grassy terrain with Thwackey. It covers Diancie, Victini, and Nidoking on that quick, which is I think is nice.
It lets Diancie use Terrain Pulse too, which is pretty cool.
And I just think Thwackey was like a kill leader like 4 weeks into the season at one point last season.
Thwackey's a great mon. We actually have Thwackey as more points than most other leagues do.
Thwackey at 4 points is kind of crazy.
Yeah, he was definitely a kill leader.
I mean, it's reasonable for it, but like, it's a lot.
Yeah, but it's by a large margin, I think, the best low tier grass type because of all the utility it provides too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, it provides
the grassy terrain is so nice.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's really good for Nidoking and Victini on this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think besides Phil's team that will be touched on pretty quick, the special breakers on this team are incredibly hard to prep for.
Yeah.
The speed tiers suck, but like, speed tiers don't fucking matter when you're just running like sheer force life orb Nidoking with modest and just blowing something out.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, offensively this team's great. Obviously defensively it struggles a bit. Hazards on this team they're okay.
It's
they're not
Steelix,
great.
What is it,
DNC,
Steelix?
and Nidoking.
Yeah, DNC is not running rocks.
But it can. It's a very good
I
offensive
know
rock.
it can, but
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really like running rocks.
More often than not, you're not going to run rocks, though. Yeah, but it's a decent offensive rock.
I'd even rather protect on it just to get them.
Spikes would have been a little bit more optimal on this team. Also, the removal here is fucking dog shit. You got
what is it, Latios?
It's
Thunderous and Latios.
Oh wow.
Yeah, neither of them.
I mean, technically magic bounce, but like, not really.
Yeah, you don't really want to be switching Diancie in on a ground type that possibly setting up rocks.
Mm-hmm.
No boy, no.
All right, let's go on to number 10.
But the good thing is Steelix runs rocks every time. That's all.
Yeah, Steelix can always run rocks, and he could bring Steelix a lot for the defensive piece. So that does kind of work out.
That's true.
Of course, I think someone said earlier that hazards aren't as important in Gen 8 because of the heavy duty boots.
I
do agree, but
yeah, I mean,
do you disagree?
I somewhat disagree. I don't think that boots is as big of a deal as people make it. It buffed a lot of mons, but like not every mon is running boots, and a lot of mons like a lot of mons counter plays to simply chip them down with hazards. It's still a very crucial part of the game. It buffed a lot of mons, but like it's still so valuable.
Oh yeah, it's definitely still very important. I don't think it is as well. I don't think it is as important.
Forcing mons to run boots is very important, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's just some weeks where if you do not have, like, I think there's weeks where a lot of people will realize. I've noticed it recently, like. Yeah, you like want something like webs and spikes on certain teams, and if you don't have like this team right here would really love to have spikes because stuff like Diancie could like that makes a difference between 2-crowing with Mega Diancie, yeah. So, but yeah, I think next one we got
number 10 is Razor Claw.
What's Razor?
Speaking of Mega Arrow, in the past we were talking about Mega Arrow ripping through teams. There's a very interesting trend with a lot of the higher divs with drafting a lot more offensive teams.
Yeah, I think this team. So I'll give it a plus and a minus straight off the rip. So nice thing about this team is the speed tiers are pretty good. There's obviously that gap between Ace and Arrow, but who the fuck cares? There's like 5
Arrow's good. There's gonna be a gap between Arrow.
Yeah, there's like 5 mons that fit in that gap, so that's not really a knock. I actually think this team, with its offensive pieces, are a bit too fast. Because I think something like Tark's team has a really good matchup here. If it
is he the Trick Room? Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So like I mean, what slow mons on this team can compete with?
Yeah, the only one I'm seeing is Heracross, and that's not even that slow.
And Heracross is base 85, so even that can be exploited.
Fortunately, he has a couple taunt users, so I guess. But your strategy to Trick Room being to make sure Trick Room doesn't go up is a bit on the difficult side. It requires a lot of positioning on your end.
Yeah. Hazards on this team, excellent. I mean, hazards are really good.
And
his removal is not great. But Cinderace and Empoleon should have, very little issue. That's really his only removal. So I see Court change Cinderace like really often, unless Empoleon has a really good matchup some weeks. But obviously, like, I think this team's gonna get fucking obliterated by fire types, unfortunately. His swap-ins are Empoleon and Cinderace, which is really not good.
Empoleon I don't really count
Empoleon even as a...
Yeah, no, it's not, but, like...
Yeah, I mean, the switching... never mind. I was going to say Thick Fat Memo, but that doesn't even resist.
Yeah, when I think of fire, also I think of firefighting ones.
The Infernapes. Oh, yeah, just Infernape. Like, you don't really see Blaziken Emboar.
This team,
I guess Iraz is in this.
This team has some good pivot potential too. I mean, like a lot of them, like Cinderace and Zarude should be able to enable stuff. Heliolisk too. I don't love Heliolisk as a mon in general, and I really don't think it fits on this team super well.
I think it's niche. I think it needs to be in Sun or Rain.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's kind of lackluster. I would have liked to see, like, probably something like an Electivire here for that 95 speed tier. I think that would have probably slotted in a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been cheaper to save some points. I think Clefairy as your only cleric is pretty bad. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie to you. I think Clefairy is not a great mon. And I think having it as your only fairy type, I don't think, does this team, I'm not wrong, right? There's no dragon here either.
No, there's no dragon.
Yeah.
I think
no dragon.
Fairy as a fairy is passable. But it really depends on the rest of your team.
I mean, it gets knocked off. That thing gets obliterated by most mons is my issue. So,
True.
And then obviously, I think that's pretty much it, though. I think the offense on this team is pretty nice. Ace Mamo I mean, in between Mamoswine and Heracross, I think they're both super underrated mons, and I think Heracross with Guts Up has minimal switch-ins across the format.
I mean, just switching into like the top 5 and then Heracross and Heliolisk alone is going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, he has a lot of good options on this team, but just long story short, it's pretty susceptible to Trick Room, and the removal is real bad. But otherwise, like, I think this team's pretty strong. It has good breakers that kind of enable everything. Pretty good pivots as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to number 9.
I didn't realize that Heracross got a Smart Strike.
Yeah, Heracross got Smart
Strike. Something I learned.
Dude, for the longest time, I thought Heracross got Poison Jab, and I only found out recently that it didn't.
That's what I was just looking up. I was like, oh, he probably has Poison Jab, and I saw he didn't have Poison Jab.
No, it gets Smart Strike, but not Poison Jab. I was really surprised by that. This thing gets spikes.
He has pretty good coverages too.
Yeah, it gets spikes as well, which is super good. That got introduced this gen as well, which made Mega Hera more relevant too.
One of these seasons, I'm gonna pick up Heracross. That's my favorite mon ever.
I want to use Mega Heracross. It has a really good speed tier.
Yeah, Mega Heracross is incredibly good, and if you set a sub up with that thing, it gets a kill almost always.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Mega Heracross simply because of flying coverage distribution. It's like everywhere.
That's fair. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
It did not get that in Gen 7, I'm pretty sure.
Number 9 is Phil.
Okay, you guys can probably give a pretty good initial feeling of my first thought on this team.
It's pretty hot from what I can see.
No, not the picture, the team.
I know.
There's a team there?
Oh, there's a team? Oh, yeah. We're doing PRs?
Lando Pex.
His offensive presence is unmatched in the league. I mean, like, there's
situations.
Yes.
There's a Volbeat Vigoroth there. Why not on the team?
Okay, but Volbeat is a Phil spec. Like, Volbeat, like, literally could be defensive mon this season.
So the real things that are holding this team back are obviously, like, the defensive mons aren't bad by any means. Obviously, Toxapex and Uxie actually support each other super well. They both have hazards to run. And Uxie actually has U-turn as well, which makes it so it's not a super annoying passive wall. In AG, Lando I, Dracovish, Lopunny, no team has answers for all 4. It's impossible. No. So, like, this in Obstagoon, I mean, like, this team, like, it's obviously HO. You have some defensive pieces that you can run.
He did that last season as well.
But it's going to be...
Is he the only person to pick up Pex across all 2 divisions?
Yeah, pretty sure. Good. Keep it that way. But yeah,
don't put that shit.
His offense is incredible. He has really good pivots. Prepping for Phil is going to be a pain in the fucking ass. I don't think I get to play him. God bless. I don't think I had to play him with Hyper Offense last season either, so that was cool. But, I mean, like, good luck swapping into stuff. It's just so offensive. Yeah. There's not a single team across all 3 divisions that I think that has the offensive presence that this one does.
The only comment I have is Lando and Dracovish both get somewhat like the common switch into those is grass types, which this team doesn't really entirely handle. But besides like Lopunny and Mienshao U-turn, but like I think just the sheer fact that you're pressuring those 2 to come in, pressuring grass types to come in every single time with Dracovish and Lando is like really annoying.
And also, Dracovish is one of those mons where if you don't have water absorb, you're gonna get 2-shot. Like,
Yeah.
Especially if it's like choice band.
Djokovic is going to be really hard to prep for, and then you have things like like Megalo, Funny, Lando I. Like even without
and Lando I gets Sludge Wave too. Like,
Lando does get Sludge Wave, yeah. But I was more so talking about like the situations where it has to. There are no real switch-ins into Lando. Like those don't really exist.
The only one I can think of is like Corviknight.
It's usually flying types.
Corviknight doesn't switch in because Lando gets gravity.
And you can run SmackDown.
And I get
pretty freely some weeks. Other gripe with this team obviously is Vigoroth and Wynot are both fucking dog shit. Wynot's actually really, really bad. I don't think there's an argument for it. Vigoroth can run some like kind of cheese sets and it can be really bulky. But I don't love it here. I think Volbeat's actually a good support, and I know how well Phil uses it, so.
Yeah, that's the thing with Phil, is like, I was like, oh yeah, Volbeat, that's a trash one. Like when he first picked it up, and now he moved that up from 1 point to 2 points, so.
Phil has made me a Volbeat. I draft Volbeat in almost every league, and it comes off. I like 1v1 to Mega Metagross within one league.
Volbeat's a very good
like Volbeat.
I have no clue what it does. I'm not even gonna lie to you. What
does it roosts, and then that's it.
No, you roost,
and then you can't break through it.
It has Prankster, so it shuts down stuff like SG Chomp. You just swap it in an Encore, and Chomp has to swap out. Yeah, it's super free. That's kind of my feelings. This team, the hazards aren't great. Obviously, they're.
Does Wynot get
Shadow Tag?
It does get Shadow Tag. I'm wondering.
But it's too frail to actually do anything with it.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, it's not. So, I mean, that's why Phil's here. Obviously, the offense is unmatched. There's nothing else in the league that even touches it. Vinny's top four are strong, and his team's more balanced. But nothing competes with these top four. I think it's probably the strongest.
Even has Mienshao and Obsidian as well.
Yeah, and then you've got to worry about Guts Obsidian in the back, which is just as hard as anything else. So
yeah, all of this too, like while having to deal with Pex, and I've said this multiple times, but like Pex sitting there as a win con, it's so annoying.
Yeah, no, Pex and Uxie will be a really. I think people don't notice it, but if you look at it, Pex and Uxie are going to be a really, really fucking annoying defensive core to break with these offensive bonds, and he can run substall AG whenever he wants to. So
yeah,
and look at Pex with Lando too. Like what hits Pex, right? Psychic, Earthquake, and I say Earthquake, I mean Ground.
Yeah, Lando T-Pex is incredibly common on the OU ladder for a reason.
Yeah, and like that's just. You need Psychic, and then you have Obstagoon out there, and Uxie, and it's just...
Yeah. Alright.
I'd like to make an update, and go ahead and go to the next slide. I'd like to just say that Shrosh did just trade in Seismitoad and Totodile for Piloswine and Quilladin.
Oh.
Oh, that actually did happen, okay. I saw them doing that in the chat, but...
I'll already say that that is an upgrade, Shrosh, so... I will say that your team is better for it. Okay, so Shay, actually, fun fact, I got my main gripe about this team from one of the questions of the day. Thanks for that, boys.
I think Datboy is the one who who made me realize the first gripe about this team is that outside of Heracross, this team doesn't really have a good breaker.
And I think Zera can be a breaker, but I think...
Can Magmortar be a breaker? He's one of those low tier mons
that can, but it's really their breakers are really frail.
Yeah, Magmortar's pretty slow too.
This team is terribly slow outside of Zera and Gren.
Yes.
The fastest mon besides that is what? Gliscor 95, and Gliscor doesn't even run speed most weeks. So
isn't Cragnole 95?
Cragnol's 105.
But Cryo is so passive, and its special attack is so low. I
have run specs Cryo once on the ladder.
I do like Cryo as a mon. Don't get me wrong. I just think having that as your 105 speed tier, are you threatened by a Cryo most weeks? Not really.
You're just switching your steel, really and you just lose so much momentum.
Yeah, and you're usually running Cryo with I don't even know HP, but outside of that, I mean, hazards here are fucking nuts. I think he went a little overboard with the spikes. I don't think Gren, Pharaoh, and Mega Hera are all needed.
I think that's good though, because Gren. Yeah. If you have that many spikers, Gren's not gonna run.
To be fair, does Mega Hera really run spikes? I know Hera can, but I don't. I think Mega Hera just wants to focus on the breaking and run substance.
Yeah, it wants to click pin missile and.
It's a matchup thing. You can run spikes. It's like running Mega Diancie with the rocks, right? Like you're not usually going to want to do it, but there's some weeks where you can run it.
But
Kinda
Gliscor
like that,
Slowking
but-
Pharaoh is such a pain in the ass. Good luck breaking
know.
that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
no.
Slurpuff to send to the webs.
I do like I think Slurpuff with Webster is excellent. I think it's actually a really good addition to this team. I think it's a really smart
Mega
addition.
Heracross so much.
Mega Heracross is a fucking demon if webs are up, and I think it's nice that he has Cryo on this team to provide the rapid spin support. But along with that, hazard setting and removal is all pretty. I think it's pretty good on this team. I mean, Skuntank and Cryo are a little iffy, but Gliscor has no issue whatsoever. Usually running Defog. I don't think it wants to some weeks, but I mean, you can usually get away with
like Defog, Roost, Earthquake.
Yeah, it usually like
maybe
EQ, Roost, U-turn.
Yeah,
you might have Toxic on there some weeks. But yeah, I mean the pivots here are fucking incredible. Top 4 support each other super well. Teleport on Magmortar. Does Skuntank get Parting Shot?
No, it does not.
Because I drafted it thinking it did 1 year and it didn't.
Yeah, that'll happen. But honestly, I think that's all really good. I don't think Munchlax does much. I think it just gives him a good ghost resist.
Gets momentum.
But yeah, I think this team's balanced. I think it's a very balanced team. I think the issue is going to be the immediate offense that it provides. I think you're going to see a lot of weeks with Bulk Up Zero or and stuff like that. But I mean, Belly Drum Slurpuff will obviously come occasionally.
Yep.
But that's my main thoughts on this team. It's very balanced. It would be nice to have more immediate physical or immediate offensive presence, but
yeah,
Gliscor can be offensive. I don't expect it to be offensive.
It can. It has some good SD.
It has Sword Stance as well, yeah. And it has Ice Fang as well.
All right, let's move on to number 7, which is J-Caps. Please let him know that. Please give him a happy birthday. By the way, today is his birthday.
Yeah, it is his birthday. Everyone, please wish J-Caps a birthday in chat. Thank you.
But then also his team name's the Subtoxic Slowbros. So I don't know.
So I think this team's pretty balanced, right?
This is a very J-Caps team. Tangrowth, Sylveon.
It's a nice balanced team. Good amount of bulk, good amount of offense. Special offense is terrible. Obviously, he's gonna have to run. And that's he has to run Spec Sylveon some weeks, or at least Combine variant. And he's gonna have to run some kind of offensive wash some weeks as well. It's not great, but again, you'll notice that a lot with these wash coaches is a lot of these drafts are extremely skewed towards physical or special split. Like a lot of the coaches will have one or the other, it seems. And this team is in the physical realm. But saying that Darm, Weavile, and Gallade are going to be not fun. Not fun to deal with. They're very difficult to swap into.
They don't have much pivot, though.
No.
And does Gallade get U-turn?
Gets teleport. Yeah, which is alright.
I don't know how many times you're going to be running.
No, it's actually pretty common to run teleport. I've seen Wish teleport sets.
It's not common.
Oh, I guess if you run Wish teleport.
Well, it's not like super common, but like Gallade can run it. I've seen it being run and do some stuff. But more often than not, Gallade just SDs and breaks the team.
I think special attackers break this team pretty easy outside of Sylveon. I think you're going to see AV Donphan, AV Kecleon a few weeks. Again, I just think that like some special mons like Torn will kind of just rip holes in this team. Zapdos rips a fat fucking hole in this team, obviously.
Mm-hmm. You have to run the Weavile. That's the
I don't love that all the hazards are on Skarmory and Donphan, but they both have 0 issues running hazards most weeks. So
Skarm loves running hazards.
Yeah, Skarm loves running hazards, and Donphan almost always doesn't mind running.
Doesn't have any moves. It's like Earthquake and Ice Shard.
I've seen like Seed Bomb on it too.
You'd be impressed by Donphan's move pool. Let me tell you, it's pretty good. Yeah. hazards being on 2 things. I don't think
Kecleon gets rocks too.
Kecleon
does it really?
Yeah, Kecleon gets rocks.
Shit. I do love me some Kecleon. Kecleon fucks. Make sure you don't under prep for it. This is a PSA. I've seen Kecleon get 4 kills way more times than I wish I.
We're looking at the PBA Mow game that just happened against Shandy, where Kecleon did a bit too much.
Flareon did real
Did that
good
happen
that
just
game.
now?
No, it happened a couple
I think like
days
2
ago.
days ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it was
I
JR
think that's
Boys
it.
who brought the Kecleon.
I think that's it for this game. Vinny, we'll hop in. Go ahead and go to Vinny's slide.
All right, none other than
Vinny
Vinny.
can give some of his thoughts. I know Vinny thinks very highly of his team. I also enjoy it. I think it's pretty solid.
I'll let you go first, and then I'll come on with my thoughts about my own team.
So he did ask for Muck's hand in marriage from me. I appreciate that. Muck's good on this team. I think this team's balanced. The disparity between this team, let me check my points just to make sure. The disparity between number 6 and number 2 is not much. So I think number 1 is number 1 by a decent margin. And I think from this team to 2, they're all very close and very good teams.
Titanol and Flareon are both awful ones, by the way.
Hey, don't be
Fuck
talking
off.
shit
They're
about
both
my
very
bull
good.
Noel.
I like
Noel's
them both.
great. I think defensively this team is not the best. I don't think it's bad necessarily. I think Bronzong, Alolan Muck, and Lantern, all three can do their part pretty equally.
And Mega Scizor.
Well, yeah,
Hurts.
of course, Mega Scizor too. But top 4 here are really hard to deal with offensively.
Yeah.
Why did you
obviously with
guys
all
let
the-
him get that top 4? What is wrong with you guys?
It just didn't fit on everybody's team. Mega Scizor didn't make sense on like 4 of our teams, even though we could have taken it. I should have taken Lando T, but I forgot to take it.
I mean, I think the person who should have took a Mega Scizor was Aaron, personally, when he was going hard rain.
Rick draft order,
Yeah.
by the way. He rigged it.
Rigged.
Yeah, rigged.
Yeah, go ahead, Vinny. You can give some thoughts. Go ahead and give
I
some
will say,
thoughts.
so on this team, I really like it overall. A few grapes I have with my own team. I don't think Rhydon. No, I'm probably gonna drop it sometime. Try and find something else once I find a hole in the team.
I like Rhydon, honestly.
It hasn't done much for me personally, but Wims has not been the best fairy, but it works. But I think that this team, honestly, I was surprised you mentioned the defense being weak, because I feel like the defense on this team is quite strong, outside of recovery maybe not being the best. Like, I have a lot of really good resistances, but I do agree that like the top 4 is just nuts, and I really like the top 4.
Yeah, I think the team outside of the top 4 is a bit passive, but I have personally
Sure.
have experience with almost every Pokemon on your team. I think I've drafted each of them in a league. Most of your mons can have some offense to them. Muck with a choice band, please never sleep on it. That shit breaks whole teams.
Muck,
Yeah, I always try to with
one season. It was amazing.
specifically with Lantern through Null. They all have momentum was a big thing. And then Flareon hits quite hard, and even has Baton Pass if you want that. Muck I don't think is passive. I think the most passive Pokemon is the Bronzong, but I found that it gets really good coverage. So, and it's not even coming every week because it's my second steal.
Yeah, Bronzong can run offense whenever it
Don't
really
sleep
wants.
on Bronzong. It's
Does
annoying.
Bronzong
It's
get
annoying
Wit?
to
Bronzong
break,
doesn't get Wit,
and it can really support teams.
Does Bronzong get what, Ben?
Wit. It doesn't get Wish, right?
No, Bronzong
No.
gets no recovery.
No. Flareon's
So
my
Lantern
wisher.
is
I was
only
gonna have
with
Kangaskhan as well,
Flareon,
but
right?
Flareon gets
I think-
Wish.
Lantern
I
doesn't. Flareon does.
I think everything else on this team is pretty good. Your removal's
I was
fine.
gonna-
Obviously, your removal's not like crazy good, but everything
yeah.
can run it without like hating it.
I was gonna ask any pointers to the team, but I'll talk about the removal first. But yeah, I don't love bringing removal, so I drafted 3 defoggers that are all can run it, and so I'm not forced to run like boots if I don't have to, and my opponents won't want to hazard stack me because I have weak removal.
Yeah, I definitely think the bottom 6 are pretty passive. But you can figure it out. I don't like Flareon as a mon. I also dislike Rhydon. I used to love Rhydon, but Rhydon and Rhyperior are both. I actually mentioned it earlier to Epic in our other chat, but I just think they're fucking not good because they get.
I'm gonna look to replace Rhydon.
They get dapped
I
out
like
by
Rhyperior.
water and grass coverage. Rhyperior is
Doesn't
definitely.
Rhyperior have does it have the solid rock in it?
Yeah, but I mean, solid rock only comes in handy sometimes. Basically getting hit by any like stab, grass, or water type, that thing's getting obliterated. So, but yeah, no, it's a solid overall team. Like I said, the disparity between this and like number 2 is really minimal. Like they're all very well composed teams. Bottom 6 is slightly passive, but there's momentum. So
And you could run Guts
Get
Flared
away from
on the 1 week if you wanted to. So.
I'll take my leave shortly, but I will say, I do think this next team is overrated. Is what I will say before I leave.
of course,
All right.
Is it as
It is
It might
Dad's
be.
team.
It might be my team. Okay, so I'll go on quickly without trying to be biased. What was the one gripe I had about my team that I didn't mention initially? My removers are pretty like whatever. They're not bad. I mean, I have plenty of removers. But Mr. Rhyme's not going to come a lot of weeks.
Mr. Rhyme is underrated. That mon is pretty good.
I love Rhyme and I love Mr. Rhyme G. I'm big advocates. They're super cheap and they provide a lot.
Yeah, those months nice.
Pidgeot's never going to run defog ever.
Yeah.
Serena runs Rapid Spin every week that it comes, and Feeney can fit defog pretty well.
I'm very happy you drafted Heatran with Pidgeot because Heatran is the counter to Pidgeot, and you're not like me who has to have Mega Pidgeot and face Heatran week 1.
I fucking love Heatran.
One thing I do notice is that you don't have a low luck, so
yeah, I'm pretty upset. But I did draft Urshifu SS immediately. I think my speed tiers are arguably the best in the entire Wash Div. I have every single speed tier going down. 130, 120, 110, 97, going to 90, 80. Although I do not have the 60 to 50, so that is a knock on the team, but Tricker's kind of blown me out a little bit. Yeah,
Dragology,
Yeah, Dragology kind of covers that, and obviously I can just run some slow shit, but regardless, I think my offensive capabilities on this team are super strong. I think Spectre and Urshifu is going to be super hard to deal with in team building. I think normal types will be annoying.
I was going to comment that for an Urshifu team, I don't really like that Heatran is your only fairy resist, but I think Dragology can be fine.
Yeah, Dragology tanks hits extremely well. That's why
I might be underestimating
stuck with it, but hazards here are okay. Obviously, they're not great. Where's my other rocker? Yeah, Heatran and Diggersby. Not great.
Well, Diggersby gets spikes, not rocks. But yeah.
Does it not get rocks?
Even worse,
it gets spikes.
Well, it gets spikes, and then Dragology gets toxic spikes as well. So the hazards are.
I believe though you do have Urshifu, so it like almost doesn't even matter.
Yeah, and I have
Urshifu appreciates hazards.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things in this team that like don't mind running Scarf at all. I think my pivots are really strong. I think how many mons have pivoting on my team? Like 6 or 7 of them have pivot potential, which lets me get Inspector and Urshifu pretty freely on a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like everything that I have. What was another knock that I had? Oh, I only have 2 resistances for strong fighting types, but I think Heatran's a pretty good.
One of them is Feeney, though.
You offensively check a lot of them with Pidgeot.
Did you say Heatran was a good resistance for strong fighting types? Flying. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
and then Raichu, but I've got some tricks on my sleeve with Raichu this time around, though.
You are a little ground weak. You have Serena, which will work. And obviously Pidgeot, but outside of those two,
I think my knock on this team too is my defensive mons are good, but my wish passers aren't great. So sustaining long games against like regen cores like Epics is not going to be super easy. I don't even know if I face Epic, but regardless,
Epic is one of the top teams in my opinion. He was the only team I actually looked at in Phil's.
Epic made a lot of good pivots on his team, I think. But I don't know. I've tried not to be biased with mine. I think there's definitely some big cons. I think the terrain with Feeney with Spectre is kind of bad. But I think I'm definitely going to be running Telepathy some weeks to kind of counteract that. So
yeah,
I'll have to see how that goes. But that's kind of my 2 cents on.
So without making this too long, I think we should just like zoom through the other 4. I think we've been on for almost 3 hours now.
Yeah, we're at 3 hours. Yeah. We shouldn't zoom through. We should still go, but like
we'll talk about them a bit. All right. So number 4. Speaking of Epic,
that's true. Although he can run Sludge Wave, which is arguably better.
Speaking of Epic, number 4 is none other than Epic himself.
Epic has the best defensive core in the league, I think. I think he's going to be
great. Manibus.
Aloe, and then you have Aloe and Buzzwole too, which can be bulk. It's going to be almost impossible to break it as bulk a lot of weeks. And I would bring up Toxic Stall, but you have a Slow King to completely counteract that as well.
Yep. And Aggron.
Yeah, and Aggron. So it's going to be super tough most weeks to break it. Chomp Coco, super classic. We like to now call it the Vinny core because he's been pretty into it lately. I mean, again, this is just a great team. Like, this is a team that should be able to match up fairly decently against someone like Phil because he should be able to slightly stall it out.
By the way, Phil versus Epic Pants is on Sunday, and me and Summer's going to stream it. So
yep, that will be streamed most likely.
Time for that one.
So I'm not a huge fan of the Ronin Coco stack on this team. Not a huge knock. I just don't think you really need both electric types. I do get that Rotom provides the Levitate, which this team doesn't need. And it doesn't share weaknesses either, and it's completely momentum wise good with Mandibuzz. Momentum grabbers here are pretty good. There's not a lot to say about this team, I don't think.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to bring up is because his defensive core is so good that he has the option of running offensive Buzzwole, which is also a massive threat because he won't suffer on the defensive end.
Yeah, I agree.
Buzzwole wins weeks after Beef Boost. Remember that?
Yeah.
And don't sleep on Scarf Buzzwole.
I run an OU a lot. It's amazing.
I think a lot of what's going to happen to this team is it's going to be passive as shit. Obviously, Garchomp and Buzzwole are both right there. Coco and Serp have definitive answers most weeks. So you're probably going to be running. I think Zangoose comes more often than you think it would. Because I think it's a good speed tier and it's a good breaker. But that's kind of just my thoughts. It would be nice to see some spikes or toxic spikes on this team. I think
toxic spikes would be really good on this team.
Toxic spikes and spikes on this team, Epic, if you're listening. If you can find some way to get those in there instead of Rotom, it'd be a real big upgrade to an already really good team.
Yeah, I agree.
And then hazards, Removal's good. Removal's great, obviously.
Does Buzzwole
get Serp's not going to run a water.
Buzzwole does, I'm pretty sure.
I think it does. But yeah, Mandy and Coco have no issues running Defog if needed, and then you got Serp and Rotom.
Mandy runs Defog pretty much every time this comes.
Yeah, almost every single week you won't have an issue with it. So.
Oh, it doesn't have Defog.
Buzzwole doesn't get Defog. That sucks.
RIP. Okay.
Are you want to move on to number 3?
Yeah, so you guys can kind of give me your thoughts on this one quick if you want.
Zapdos Scizor is a classic. I currently have a league with it right now. I haven't played my week 1 yet, but it's a classic. Then you got Rain. I like the
Rain
fact that
with Mega Swampert, which is one of the best Rain sweepers.
The good thing about this Rain team, I know that like Rain is not exactly like really well seen upon, but like the one thing I really like about this Rain team is it's not reliant on Rain. It's like it has Zapdos Clef Scizor, which can realistically come every week, and then
and then you don't even have to have Rain.
Yeah. It's a water core that's not reliant on it, which really just makes it that much more threatened. Like it's kind of weird to say, but less rain cores, less stuff with the rain makes it better.
Yeah,
so I think that's a really good point. That's why I think this team is much better than people think it is. Because it's easy to look at Rain and be like, ugh, Rain, whatever, who the fuck cares? Only the first. Really, only Swampert and Pelipper are Rain exclusive, right? Otherwise, you do not need anything on this team can function outside of Rain. I think some of them function better in Rain, like Goodra.
Goodra and Zapdos, depending on what kind of
Goodra, Zapdos, and Scizor all love the Rain, but they don't need it.
Yes, they love it, but they don't need it. Yeah,
exactly. Even Manectric likes the Rain, but doesn't need it.
I think this team's also surprisingly extremely fat. You've got Pelipper can be a really good defensive check if you predict correctly.
Goodra is so fat.
Yeah.
Goodra is stupid bulky. Scizor is bulky, and Clefable and Zapdos can be bulky every week that they want to come. I do see a bit of an issue with breaking on this team, but almost every Pokemon can run some sort of offensive set like Azelf, Gudra, Clefable, Zapdos. They can all run some sort of offense to kind of counteract that. And Zapdos and Rain has very few counters, so
I think like the best Zapdos counter in Rain is like T-Tar.
Yep. Yeah. And that's just getting rid of the Rain.
Yeah. Pivots are really good here. Azelf, Pelipper, Swampert, Scizor, Clefable, Zapdos. They're all really good. They enable all of the offense. He has excellent removal. He has good hazards. Azelf, Swampert, Clefable, they all have very little issue running rocks most weeks. Then you have Drapion down there to also give toxic spikes when needed.
For sure.
Don't sleep on subtoxic, Reggie.
Yeah.
Someone used it last season really well.
I'm really
Wow,
looking
used
forward.
It super well.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really looking
I wish he was in this.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm really looking forward to seeing him use Azelf. I think one of the QOTDs was what is a mon that you think was underrated. And I said Azelf because I think it's like really good. It's super good offensively. It's a great rocker. It can pressure so many things and it has amazing coverage. But I think you were Dad was the one who pointed this out that it's not really seen drafted that much because they're just more psychics around. But it was pretty cheap here. And
it's like Reuniclus. It is a good mon. Some people don't like it, but there's just so many psychic types that they just get overlooked. Just because you don't need them. But yeah, no, I think this team's good. It's kind of like a bulky offense. I think the Gudra Mega Swampert pairing in Zapdos, it's really strong. I mean, something like a Kyurem just rips this fucking team apart. But
I mean,
you're gonna match up against
rip apart.
Yeah, Kyurem beats.
Yeah, you're gonna match up against.
Fortunately, they did get a steel that's not weak to ground like Earth Power. So
yeah, good. And I think otherwise, I think this is much more than just a Rain team. I think it's very balanced. I think all of the pivoting with the rest of the team just makes it extremely strong.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to number 2. It's
Two more
Hopeless. God, Hopeless. Yeah, they said their team is garbage, but they somehow made number 2.
So Hopeless is has a very, of course, I have Hopeless week 1. God bless. Hopeless is obviously one of the strongest coaches that was added this season, and this is a very balanced team. I think the only glaring issue for me right off rip is that it kind of lacks some immediate breakers. But Mega Blastoise and Rillaboom can kind of come through and be those breakers if needed. I don't really like Persian Alola as a Pokemon. I think we already touched on that in Modiv.
I think it's okay here though, as like a very cheap dark type.
Yeah, it's not bad. Sandslash is also whatever. It just
I'm a big Sandslash.
It's not.
I love Sandslash. I don't like it here because I don't think Sandslash gets high horsepower or Stomping Tantrum.
There's just no point because
it's a good spinner.
It brings spin, but you don't need it.
Oh, I guess
he has 4 different hazard removal options that are very reliable. 3 of them have no issue running it. I was going to chime in earlier, and I think Weezing G has no issue running Defog if it needed it some weeks. Because I think a lot of weeks you're really only running Sludge Wave. You might run Flamethrower for the steel type if you need it.
Yeah.
But you can usually run Defog. Maybe you'll need Willow, but if you need it,
you might need Strange Steam. I don't know. I feel like Weezing always needs Strange.
Regardless,
he has
Blastoise and Corviknight, so he will not need to run Defog almost ever on it.
The one thing I also wanted to point out was pre-Grace that Blastoise was a Suicune. So I'm very happy they put Blastoise because it can abuse both terrains that they have. They actually have 2 different terrains.
It gets terrain pulse, right?
Yeah, it gets terrain pulse, so it can use the Rillaboom's terrain or Weezing's terrain.
Excellent.
I think this team has really good sustain as well. It has a lot of really good team support options. Audino is really nice here. Just to be a cleric, and Mew can fit that as well. I think he'll need to run Mew offensive a few weeks, but don't you always if you draft it?
Yep, that's kind of
I think the speed tiers are really good here. Obviously Jolteon and Persian Alola aren't 2 things that you need to speed creep sometimes, but they fit the tiers and they're pretty good. So I just think the team is the epitome of a really balanced squad. I mean, it's not the greatest team I've ever seen, but once you kind of go into a little bit more, it's very cohesive. There's a lot of momentum, and Rillaboom provides to be a real pain in the fucking ass when you got to prep for it.
Yeah, a lot of teams that we've seen, it's like, okay, these 3 Pokemon are coming every week. This team, like, yeah, you have the Mons that may come every week, but I mean, the top 9, like, it's almost interchangeable. I feel like any combination of Mons can put it work.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you probably need Rillaboom. Rillaboom probably the only one that I would say will probably come, but like even Corviknight can be swapped out depending on the matchup.
Yeah, this is the first Corv team I've seen within PBA this season that isn't reliant solely on the Corv.
Yeah.
Corv is like a supplemental piece on this team, which is what I really like to see. I like teams that don't rely on Corv every single week in and week out to be a defensive piece on the team.
Yeah. All right, I think we should move on to the first. So
yeah,
number 1 is none other than Kachurin, who took Mega Garchomp round 1, which I've seen this core before. Garchomp, Jirachi, and I think it was Coco instead of Infernape. But yeah, Garchomp,
I would
Jirachi.
like to explain how this is number 1.
So this is another team. It's kind of like Hopeless's, where you look at it and you're like, well, I'm seeing like Thundy Eye, Shaman, Sneasel, like, what the fuck ever, pretty mediocre. Speed tiers are pretty good. I think it's super well rounded. All of the issues that I found weren't really big enough issues that I would knock the point total down for the team. I could see people arguing that this isn't like the best squad on here, but the team really pops. I mean, like, you've got the utility options with Thundurus to kind of support the offensive pieces. I think Mega Garchomp, Infernape, and Primarina, all 3 of them are 3 of the most underrated offensive mons in Draft League format. I think Primarina is like a top 5 mon that's a headache to fucking prep for, because
it could be anything.
There's like 10 to 20 mons in the entire format that swap into a Specs Modest, Mood Blast, or Hydro Pump. Like, it's very strong. Infernape can run mixed every single week. It has pivot potential, recovery, rocks, really strong, and then obviously Mega Garchomp getting access to Scale Shot makes it a real pain in the ass to deal with.
Yeah. The one issue I'm seeing is, and this entirely depends on what Savali comes, which I guess kind of makes Savali pretty good, is when Blissy's in and a fighting type is in, it can't switch to that. Like, you could try Primarina, but a strong fighting type will then think back.
Yeah, this team definitely struggles with fighting types for sure. My main gripe was I think Sneasel should be something else. I think they should work to try to incorporate a stronger dark type's kind of needed, because I think
unless you want to run Silvally Dark like every.
Yeah, and Silvally Dark.
I think Silvally is going to be really key in patching the holes you guys are mentioning.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the one team where I actually like Silvally in it.
Yes, I think Silvally fits super well. I think Blissey is fantastic here. I think a good special wall is really reliable. And it doesn't have the best walls on this team. But between like Shaman, Silvally, and Blissey, Silvally and Shaman can provide whatever you need them to do each week. Shaman will get ripped up by some flying type attacks, but you can just swap like Thundurus or Jirachi in most of the time, and you're probably good to go. Double Wish on this team, that's not really a knock, doesn't matter. I think Ariados is really underrated on this team. I know it was a big meme when we were drafting that he took Ariados, like, haha. But, I mean, like, they're going to have nothing to swap in if you do not bring good removal. That Primarina and Infernape Mega Chomp will just rip through teams. There's not going to be anything that can swap into all 3, and Primarina with webs is really strong.
Yeah.
The speed tiers here are a little funky, but there's 6 mons in the 90 to 115 speed tier. So there's 92, 95, 100, 108, 111, 115. Again, it's a little weird, but that is like the main speed tier that a lot of offensive mons are in. So there's going to need to be a lot of speed creep involved. I just found that this team, honestly, like, if we go back to the last slide, I do think that Hopeless's team is a little bit more well-rounded, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I would put this number one. I even think Aaron's team might be a bit better, but
I just found that I think Kachurin has a little bit of everything that makes a team super balanced. I think Solly patches a lot of holes. I really don't love Sneasel, but with the way that this team is formatted around, it works. And I think with somebody like Kachurin, that's a pretty solid, and has like a good track record as a coach. I think he's very good. I think it's a lot of these like top teams are going to be top teams because they have top coaches running them. Again, these are PRs where
Yep.
Number one coach can get last place. That's just the way it works. But I think this team is just well rounded. Something about it stuck with me. I think maybe looking at it now, I don't know if I give it first still. I think Hopeless's and Aaron's team have both grown on me a little bit more. I think Epic, if he had a little bit more offense, like immediate offense, his team would be up there too.
Yeah.
But I just think this team has it's just really well rounded. There's some offense, there's some defense, good hazards, good pivots. Everything supports everything else super well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's gonna be it. Since it appears both Vinny, Dad, and Serp are still in the call. I guess one question that I think would be good to ask is just who do you guys? I mean,
Vinny's not in the call anymore.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Vinny left, I think.
Vinny left. All right.
Vinny can hop back in if he's still watching. There he is.
If he's still watching, I was gonna ask. I know you guys just did PRs, which kind of indicate this, but who do you guys think would win each division?
Go ahead, sir. Yeah, you can start.
I haven't looked at Mow, so I can't really speak from there. From Wash, I'm gonna say my bet is on. As much as I hate to say it, it's either gonna be Razor pulling some bullshit on us or JCaps.
Razor moment. I can go into do Wash for my predictions.
For Heat,
Serp's
tough for me to say, but I have no clue who we.
Come on, Serp, it's your division.
Based on team alone, I honestly have no.
You can pick yourself.
He's not in Heat.
He's not in
Oh,
Heat.
whoops! I thought you were still talking about Wash.
Damn, dude, you're gonna do him like that?
I'm gonna say probably Shade because that team's a fucking mess to prep to. So I think Shade might have a chance to win. I think he's like probably the one that's most likely to win for me.
That's fair. Shade's team is a nightmare.
You sounded British for a second.
Me?
Yeah.
Also, for anyone still in the chat, I want to see what your predictions for the three
feel free to
divisions are as well.
I think Vinny or Dad can go.
Oh, well, give me 1 sec. I'm just uploading stuff.
Oh,
Okay. So I think I've got Aaron and Wash. I think Aaron's team is really good. I know Aaron's a really good coach. I think he's definitely one of the top 5 coaches as far as skill level goes. And I think, with all respect to Vinny, I think the fact that Vinny is borderline not a top 5 coach and Wash this season, like skill wise, is
that's really ridiculous.
It's really telling for how much we.
I agree with you.
And Vinny's very good. So I just think that Aaron, to me, has a team that will enable him to be super successful. And we already saw, actually funny that Aaron near the top of the rankings and Lemon at dead last played so close, but Aaron also got hacks a little bit that game, so we won't include that. But Heat's really up in the air. I think there's a lot of teams that
Vinny said this before, but Heat is easily one of the more balanced divisions compared to the other two.
I think it's very balanced. I think Gradual is a coach that'll constantly tell himself that he's bad, but I think Gradual has a pretty good team here. I think Gradual, Ace, and Helix are 3 people that I all think will do very well this season.
Oh, for sure.
Healing all my people.
I agree.
Helix's team, I would just say Helix, but I will probably go with somebody like Ace Arm. I think Ace is getting better and better each season, and I think his prep has gotten really good. So I feel pretty good about him, at least finishing in the top, if not making it to finals this season. Shade also played extremely well today, and I didn't know who Shade was until like recently. So I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And then I've been told that Anting is a Smurf in the Mow div. I don't know if that's true. I don't know anything about Anting. But I gotta go with my boy Shandy in Mow. I think Shandy is a coach that probably shouldn't be in Mow, but he did go 0-8 last season and pretty much just ran it down to go like -30 or whatever he went. So, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to do mine now?
Yeah, then
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay,
Then we'll
so
go sub and
I first off, I do think within PBA, I think I'm a top 5 wash coach. If you put me in another league, I don't think I'm top 5 in this division, but I think I just do insanely well here. Is something to consider. I don't think I will win this season though. I'm not going to predict myself. I think Aaron for sure. His team is really good. He's really good. He knows how to play it. I for sure think he's winning the season. If it's not him, and I have to make a secondary prediction, I think Epic has a team that he's really comfortable with, and he's really good with Garchomp Coco, and he's been growing a lot. He's also really good with the Aggron, other Pokemon on the team. I think he can contest, even though most people wouldn't immediately see him and be like, you're a top 5 coach of this division. Heat. This one's interesting. So I was originally going to do both Gradual and Ace Harm and choose between the two. I'm going to throw a wild card out that has not been chosen yet, though, and I'm going to say Chris. Chris has really impressed me, and I think that he has a lot of huge threats on his team, specifically Arrow, Laddie, Zera. I think he's going to do well and surprise people. Mo is a bit more difficult, I would say.
Mo's very difficult to predict because I think there's a lot of.
It's difficult because I also only know like 3 of the coaches.
Yeah, I don't know
I've
many
only ever
coaches
seen like a couple of them play. Like I've seen
gonna-
Ender play, and I've seen Lynn play, and I've seen Shandy play, and can't remember if I've seen.
I'm gonna throw out a wild crush as the winner. So Crush is Halix's sweetheart. But yeah, his team, I did rate it only 9th, but I did mention that because I don't like defensive playstyle so much. I think that in this division, though, sorry, Mo coaches, but you guys are less experienced. And I did notice in general, you guys had a lot more defensive drafts. So I think
Mo's really hard. Yeah, there's a lot of teams in Mo that I can see doing well.
They're just cheating because Crush on 1 today.
Okay, I'll be back. One sec. My mom interrupted.
Oh,
but
no
basically, okay, so I think his team. I'll read you my. Can I explain Crush? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, his offense is really scary, and I think we'll break through the other team's defenses or their more offensive teams and deal with them because he has a lot of priority. And I think his team also deals with the defensive teams because his team is impossible to break. And I don't think most coaches will know how to play around it very well because they're less experienced. And their teams, again, like I said, are fat and quite linear. I noticed about a lot of them. And I think this is Crush's league to win.
Gotcha.
Sub, you want to go with your? I know you made some before the draft, but
oh, sure. So I guess in Wash, I would like to say Aaron because I think the way they played their game, their week 1 was pretty cool, and I thought it was fun.
I think they got hacks and they still fucking
they still
pulled
won.
it out.
And their team is so broken, and I know they're a very talented coach. But outside of Aaron, because we could all say Aaron, don't sleep on Hopeless. I think Hopeless will do very well, even if it's with a team that they are not too happy with. I know they're not too happy with their team, but I still think they will know how to pilot it, as per what I've seen from them time and time and time again. So yeah, within Wash, I mean not within Wash, within Heat, 2 people I want to point out. I think Gradual will do well, despite what he says constantly. I had the chance of using his team in a mock, and I think it's crazy fun. And I know Gradual's a good coach, so I think he'll use it well. And another person who I think you should not sleep on is Killuminati. I think his team is incredibly fun, and he was able to make like a negative synergy team work. So, and I think his team is much better this time. So do not sleep on him. He will do very well.
I think Killy's much better than people give him credit for.
For sure, yeah.
I agree, yeah.
And then
all right, Jai, end us off. Oh wait,
I wanted
was
to
that
mention
Keith?
Mow real quick.
Forgot about Mo.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised
okay.
none of us said this person, but they missed playoffs barely in Gumi. But watch out for Ander. I think Ander's gonna win.
Ander is one of the top coaches in Mo, I think.
Anders
Just by
growing a
watching him
lot,
last
and
season.
he has a super good team to
Yeah.
enable.
I do agree with that. I think that the reason I didn't pick Ander though is because recency bias. He didn't impress me versus Jolt, and I think he made some misplays that made him lose that game. If he can iron out this team, because this team is nuts, and if he can figure out how he wants to play it, I think he can win. But right now, he hasn't shown that yet, which is why I didn't predict him.
For sure.
Not yet. There's 8 weeks in the season.
Yep.
That's right. I've won
Woo.
1 week 1 out of 15 leagues.
Yeah.
Once.
I'm a week 1 champ.
I am not. Wish I was.
Alright, I'll end off. I pretty much have the same predictions. So I'm for Wash. I think Epic Fans has it this season. He did so well last season, and people didn't expect him to. Nobody expected him to make the finals, especially when he was playing Unity. And I don't know. I think he's grown so much since I first met him and first started playing against him and with him. And I think he's got it in Wash. For Heat, I'd be inclined to say myself because I think I'll do a lot better this season. But I'm gonna go with Ace Harm. I don't know, man. Ace Harm, he was way better than his record last season, and I honestly think he could almost be up in Wash this season. So I think, especially with Holt, Rillaboom, Heatran, his team is very scary, and I don't think there's many people in this division that can beat him.
I think Ace is very good. Yes, I think he's improved a ton.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then for Mo, I'm going to stick with my original prediction and go with Michelle. I know not many people have that, but apparently Vinny just said they were the number 1 team.
I just wish I watched half of these people battle.
I simp.
I don't really know much people, so.
Look at the Michelle simp now. Look at the Michelle simp now.
I've heard from insiders that Anting is above Mo material, above Mo level, so I'll be watching closely throughout.
If that's the case, then they just got to prove it.
If that's the season, we're just going to ban him halfway through the season.
We'll move on.
Now he has to fake being bad. Let's go.
We're going to do a public announcement during week 4. After week 4, we're moving coaches around. So first place in Heat will go to Walk, and last place in Walk will go to Heat.
That would actually be hilarious.
That'd be so depressing. Oh my god.
That would actually be hilarious. I'm down to try that.
No, that'd be so dude. Imagine if imagine if
you get hacked 4 games in a row.
No, imagine if the 16th seed is like a Polt team or an Urshifu team. You think I won 2 Polts in 1 division?
Yes! That sounds fun!
Your name is literally Ban Polt.
Who cares? That sounds hilarious.
Alright, thanks for everyone for sticking around. I know a couple people stick around through the whole thing, so shout out to JR Boys for sticking around the whole thing. I definitely saw him the whole thing. But yeah, thanks all for watching. We'll be back Sunday, right? Noon is the first game. The no game, it's Michelle versus LS. So that'll be on stream.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoy our commentary on that. So yeah, look out for that. Thanks all for watching again. So,
goodbye.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Did you cut the stream?
I'm cutting it now.
Alright, I have a question.